It's me, Seth Rogen. Thank you for listening to Shallow Cinema.
I thought that was Kermit the Frog.
James Franco.
Would that be was Gonzo? So if Seth Rogen's Kermit the Frog, would James Franco be Gonzo?
Yeah, unfortunately.
Do you think James Franco called Seth Rogen and asked to be in the Ninja Turtles movie? Could he have been Scumbug?
Yeah, that'd be a good fit for him.
Sorry, yeah. Welcome back.
Hello.
It's been a little while.
It's been a minute.
Life's hard.
Yeah, it sure is.
We were on strike.
We were, you know what? Yes, let's say that.
You want more of this free content? Pay us.
Pay us more. We write every episode.
But we're not in the guild, so it's okay. We're not breaking any rules right now.
Yeah. We're not, what, scabs is what they're called?
Yeah,
People that cross the line?
Mm-hmm. Dirty scabs.
Disgusting
or
scabs.
Foreigners.
Wait a minute. Take that back.
No, it's because, let me clarify, because they're not in SAG, so they are allowed to be in stuff. Anyway, I'm Blackjack Bauer.
Emphasis on the black version there. Thank you.
And I'm going to make this very hard to edit, I guess, by saying a lot of inappropriate things, probably.
It's cool.
I'm mad as hell.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to take it anymore. I'm going to let it go in this podcast.
Twisted Sister, Twisted Metal.
I'm actually not mad about the Twisted Metal.
Well, you know what? Since the last time we have got together, we've seen quite a few movies, but we just have not had the time to get together.
A couple different ones.
Lots of different ones, actually.
You of course, you took in the double feature that I guess further saved movie theaters because everyone went.
Did. We can talk about that in a little bit. I've watched a few TV shows as well. Just, little things here and there, keeping me busy. But honestly, with all the strike stuff going on, I've been really focused on that.
So yeah, we should mention, because I think last time we met, the actors were still working. So now we have a dual strike of the Writers Guild and the Screen Actors Guild are both on strike. This is the first time since, I want to say it was in the 60s.
Yeah, it was, a very long time ago.
So this is historic, and I don't want to get too much into all of the politics of it, but pay people. Pay people what they are worth and what they deserve. And if you're someone who is just like, well, I don't get paid that much, that's kind of what this is about.
Yeah,
Everyone should be standing up right now and going like, hey, you know what? No. Pay me better.
This isn't just about rich Hollywood actors aren't getting what they think they're due or something like that. This is beyond all of that.
And also, in fact, it's not even about them. Like the actors. This isn't about Tom Cruise and George Clooney. This is about your working stiff TV actors, your background players, people who are struggling to make rent. I mean, it's for everybody, but these are the people that are really fighting.
I mean,
for equality.
Think about the amount.
It's like George Clooney's not out there going, I don't have quite enough money yet.
Yeah. Think about all the movies and all the TV shows you've seen since you were a kid where the main character is like an intern and they don't get paid. They're delivering coffee and it's like them building their way up into something. There's a reason why those characters exist is because people haven't been paid for a very long time.
Think about Stanley or Phyllis from The Office. Those actors. They're not the Steve Carells. Because everyone loves The Office, right? That's according to my dating profile. Everyone loves The Office.
I don't know. I never watched it. Rachel, she was a assistant at some point, right? In
Rachel
Friends?
from Friends? Yes. Yeah. But also Friends was unbelievable because none of those people could live the way that they lived.
Hey, Ross is a paleontologist in New York City. He was good. He's fine.
But this is also just like the writers, but what the actors are really fighting for now is there's a lot of things, but residuals is the big part. And like you were saying too, think about all the stuff that you've watched on Netflix. Think about Friends. I don't remember the exact number, but I think Netflix paid $100 million.
Oh, it was insane.
To get Friends for the time that they did, because I've lost it now. It's gone, I think it's back to Peacock. I don't know.
So I can actually tell you, I was watching Friends in 2013, and then they took it out at around 2014, and it didn't come back to Netflix until like 2019.
So it's not even about the money.
They paid a shit ton of money for that and still lost it.
But just consider that Netflix spent a ton of money to get a even at that point, 15 approaching 20-year-old series. How many people wanted it?
Exactly.
How many people watched it? So how much money did that make Netflix? Now, this isn't just on Netflix. This is all streamers. Streamers notoriously don't ever release the numbers of what people watch or how much people watch things.
No one knows how.
The stuff that they make. So it's not even just Friends, but whatever. And they do that because if they announced this many people did this, then they would need to pay residuals to everyone that was in these things, and they don't want to do that. That's part of what they're fighting for, but it's also streaming wasn't a thing the last time these contracts were negotiated.
Exactly.
Not really, not like it is now. And you're having actors who, and some of them have been posting their residual checks and showing there's one actor residual check that was literally negative. There's negative money on the check.
One guy got $0, and he was the dad in the Lizzie McGuire movie and show.
Another instance, John Cusack, famous actor, and even if you haven't seen the movie, you probably know of the Boombox movie, Say Anything. He posted a long tweet on Twitter, or X, whatever the fuck it's called now.
Yeah,
it was Twitter at the time.
Yeah, it's Twitter at the time.
That he was supposed to get whatever back-end points from that, and he's never gotten anything because of their creative accounting. That movie has never made money, but it's literally one of the most famous movies from the 80s.
Yeah.
And it's what made him famous. And you would argue, like, well, he's famous, fuck him. But, like, no, someone else, though, did make money off of this, off of him, and they're not paying him.
Suddenly, Nicolas Cage and all of his movies make sense, doesn't it?
Yeah. Well, also,
and Bruce Willis.
Well, we knew that with the Bruce Willis stuff, especially at the very end there. But
yeah.
But this, and we're also approaching a thing, too, where they wanted to take day players, your extras, your background actors, and have them come in for a day's work, and they'd pay them for that day.
Yeah.
And they wanted to scan them, and then they would have their likeness in perpetuity forever to put into whatever they wanted. And the funny thing is, I literally just watched a Black Mirror episode on Netflix.
I was going to bring it up.
Exactly about this.
I was going to bring it up.
And it's like, Netflix, did you even watch? Do you watch the shit that you put on? Because like,
it's a
this
fake.
Is what it was about.
It's Joan is awful. And the episode features a fake Netflix that is using AI.
I mean, the sound is it's Netflix.
It's exactly the same. I think
there's even other shows that they're scrolling through are real shows on Netflix.
I'm pretty sure that fake Netflix is already like a running thing in their series when it went to Netflix. So it wasn't a new thing.
But regardless, beyond even the concept of that episode, which is Netflix literally stealing someone's life for TV.
It was like a week later after that release that the actors went on strike, which I thought was amazing.
But the other turn in that is like Selma Hayek is playing the TV version of this character, but it's not even Selma Hayek because she sold her likeness to Netflix.
Exactly. And they just used an AI to do this.
And so that's so we're talking about residuals, and it's also talking about AI. And that's what the writers were fighting against that too. And even the writers, one thing that's come out now too is Netflix, everybody is doing these things called mini rooms. You've probably heard of a writer's room.
Yeah.
All the writers get together and break out a season of a show or whatever. Now they're doing these mini rooms, and they have these writers basically break a series and then just send them away. It's like, cool, we'll take it from here, and just take the ideas and they run with it themselves, so they don't have to pay these people.
Great.
Or they make them sign exclusivity contracts.
Yeah.
And that's always been a thing. But back in the day, your series ran for 20, 25 episodes. That could carry you for a year.
I mean,
now,
fuck, I think the Joey show got 2 seasons.
And I do think even at that, I think they were both in the 20 episode range.
And it was an astronomical failure.
But now your average show is 8, 13 episodes.
Sometimes you're lucky if you get 6.
So if your exclusivity contract runs for a year, that means you can't work on anything else for a year. And this was all that you get. And they're also cutting you out of a bunch of things. So because the money that Netflix exec that Tits Randos is making to buy his third house, while this writer maybe is struggling to pay rent on his apartment.
So I actually have something to bring up because this is I have not told you about this at all.
This is breaking news.
This is. So Ethan Hawke was creating a movie in our town.
Yep, this I knew. I was aware.
They were looking for extras. With our old job, I had some photos taken. So I was like, you know what? Screw it. I'll apply to be an extra. And they called me back. They wanted me to work 3 days, 12 hours.
For $100 a day.
$80 for all 3.
And that is, that's also, bad. That's typical extras work. And I mean, to a degree.
It's just, imagine.
I don't agree with that, but like, I get it at a certain level too. It's like, look, we just want you to stand here and fucking whatever.
So, but that's 12 hours for 3 days. So that's 36 hours, and they want to pay you $80. You divide that, and that's about 0.45 cents or just 45 cents an hour to be paid. And
even though you didn't take it, someone else did.
Oh, absolutely, they did.
Probably someone who like really look. I need to make connections. I need. And that's I'm not saying the industry needs to change all these different things like part of it is I get like, this is just fucking how some stuff works, but everyone should be getting paid for the work that they do and for what they are worth. Just because they like what they do, you should just get paid for your job if you hate your job.
It's different, like, too, if you're like, you could do something like this for, I don't know, college credits, school credits.
Because the other
something fun to do with your friends, that's fine. But it's like, that's 3 days of money you would be losing if you had just a normal job.
If you were 2021 and that was happening, you're just like, you know what? Fuck it.
Yeah.
Like, I'll get to be in a movie and I'll make $80 or whatever. Or it might even be like, you might not even be there. Aren't you like, oh, look at that in the background. That leg, that's me.
Yeah, exactly.
Those are my Jurassic Park pants.
Yeah.
But the other thing that pisses me off with this, beyond some people also saying like, well, you know what? I don't even like anything that's coming out of Hollywood right now. Well, do you like straight up AI garbage? Because like that's what they will give us. And if you want to argue that writers aren't doing a good job right now or last couple of years, I'm not going to defend every single writer. I'm wrong. There's plenty of bad ones. But a lot of them are also like doing what they're being told to do because it is a job. Just like we've complained about Marvel movies and their VFX.
Yeah.
I'm not shitting on those VFX artists. Maybe some of them aren't great, but some of them are also probably like, look, I had to do this 5-minute bit and I had 1 day to get all of this done. Because if you don't, an interesting thing, this is a little divergent, but if you don't know how the VFX industry works too, the studio will decide, here's how many VFX shots we have in this movie.
Yeah.
And then they'll put it out there and the VFX houses make bids. And guess what the studio does? They pick the one that made the lowest bid.
Exactly.
And it's just like, well, here's how many you have. Can you get this done? It's like, oh, they just got to figure out how to get it done. And so I hope the next one, the VFX artists get a union and go on strike because that's the next thing needs to happen.
Yeah, I mean, if they aren't already, they should be because it's insane.
And the same goes for fucking video game designers now too. It's like, fuck this crunch stuff. Like, no.
I will say, this is current news. Baldur's Gate may have just saved video games. That they might have actually changed the.
That is also another tangent, and I have seen that too, and I think that it's great, and we can touch on that, I guess, on the back end of this episode. But yeah. At the same time, like, I think it's also naive to think it's going to change anything. It's not.
No, I mean, you're going to still have places like Activision.
They just showed like, hey, if you make a good thing and you make it full and complete all at once, people will like it.
Yep.
That's not the point. Activision knows that. Everyone knows that. They also knows like, and what those people are looking at when they're being shamed right now on the internet, first of all, they don't give a fuck.
No, not at all.
But it's also, they're just like, but you could have made this much money. That's all that they see is like, you could have made this. You chose to give all that shit away for free. That's what they see.
It's insane. Also, before I forget, I did miscalculate. It was actually like $2.20 an hour.
I think that's even less than like a waiter gets.
Oh no, it is. My argument is, if you're an extra, minimum wage of whatever state you're in, that makes sense.
And that's really this whole fight, this whole argument. Why I'm heated about it is literally what it should come down to is in this country alone. I'm not going to argue the world over. Everybody should be able to make a living wage.
Yeah. And
not have to worry about food or rent working 40 hours a week. Something we agreed on however many decades ago is like 40 hours is the average work week, which, there was a time where that wasn't either.
Thanks, Henry Ford.
And if this country is so great, everyone should be able to work 40. You shouldn't have to work a second job. You shouldn't have to do a side hustle. If you want to do it, great. But you should be able to do these things and not worry at that level. And we can't.
No, and it's getting so old.
And in this industry, what we're seeing is this is a microcosm of where you work, where I work.
Mm-hmm.
I can't believe this motherfucker. I mean, he was anonymous, but I can't believe he said this out loud to, I assume, a reporter, because I think it was Variety that reported it, of an exec for the writer strike, claiming the end game goal is to wait them out until they start losing their homes. There's more to that quote, but I'm not really paraphrasing.
That's the only thing that matters is
that's how
there is some rich asshole out there being like, well, I got my shit.
And that's what's going on. And also, I think, because they just went back to the table negotiating, I think, this past weekend, just the writers. The SAG is not.
Yeah.
And it's not them. It's not the guilds who aren't negotiating. The studio has chosen not to negotiate, and because they weren't lying. Their goal, their plan is like, fuck, we'll just wait them out until they don't have any money, and then they'll take what we're going to offer them.
Yeah.
Even though this whole fight is about the fact of, they don't have any money now. That's why they're arguing about this. And they don't trust that you won't take this away from them as soon as you get a fucking AI that can go, oh, it's AI, I'll just write this shit.
So like, that's what's so frustrating about all this stuff is like, you always get people to be like, well, you fucking idiot, you just go work at McDonald's. It's like McDonald's employees make $15 an hour now.
I also saw people saying like, well, then don't live in California. Like you can write from home. It's like, that's not how it works.
Sure.
You can
Stephen
write
King,
from home.
you want to go to your lake house and write?
But also if you're writing for Hollywood or in that industry, like a lot of times you have to be on set. Like it's not just you write, you turn it in.
You can't just write from home. You have to be there and be ready to be like, okay, director, I'll fix this for you.
And just like making connections, like you can't make connections over just LinkedIn and fucking Zoom calls. Like you have to be there. And guess what? This shit takes place in Los Angeles, in New York. That's where the studios are, and that is who dictates that. And a further thing that got me is with the Screen Actors Guild, one studio is allowed to continue with their productions now. That's A24. Do you know why they're able to continue? Because they agreed. They just agreed to the terms that everyone wanted.
Absolutely, let's do it.
So, granted, I understand A24 is a smaller studio, but like they put out a lot of stuff, and like they're getting bigger.
And I mean, they haven't really had any stinkers.
And if anything, all it shows is like, so you all could do this.
Yeah.
And you're choosing not to. How much money do you need? I looked it up. Technically, what the writers are asking for overall annually is $420 million. You may be like, oh my God, it's a lot. No, it's not.
Not at all.
Last Indiana Jones movie cost $300 something million to make.
We still don't know how much each Marvel movie has cost, but they always reported at a solid $400 million.
You're talking about these executives in these studios like make one less fucking movie, I guess. If you won't take a pay cut, because that's also like, don't be naive. I know that nobody at the top is going to not make their money. Yeah. So if this stuff gets worked out, you and I are going to pay for it. Netflix is going to go up in price again. Yeah, again. And I would be okay with that now if I know like, okay, well, but you're paying the people who make this stuff.
It's honestly, it's so sad. It really is. Especially for people like us who enjoy watching movies and stuff. Like, sure, some of the movies have sucked really bad in the past few years, but it's always studios. Occasionally, you get something good. You get a Spider-Verse. You get a Dungeons and Dragons. I can't think of a show right now. But like, there are good shows. Like there has been a good show that I've seen recently. But you get that. You gotta dig through this shit. And it sucks. It sucks knowing that Hollywood, one, they always learn the wrong lesson from Barbie being a success. Are they going to learn the right lesson about why that was successful? Nope. Not at all. Not at all. They're just going to go, hey, let's make a fucking movie out of Stretch Armstrong. Toy movies. Just like even like with Deadpool, the first one, rated R, and it made all that money. Like, granted, you didn't get a lot of fallout from that, but did they learn the right lesson? No, because the right lesson really was, hey, if you just if you just let the creative team just fucking make the movie they want to make. Yeah. Turns out you might just make a lot of money. Because that was really, whether you like Deadpool or not, like, that was a $60 million fucking movie. And that's the only reason Fox didn't give a shit. It's like, well, it didn't cost us anything. Do whatever you want. We can use some archive footage of the mansion. And then all of a sudden, it made all that money. Like, oh, holy shit. So the next one got a much bigger budget, and Fox did care a little bit more. Yep. And that's why nowadays, like, look, I want my movies to have the budget they need to do their stuff. But at the same time, like, I kind of like it if you're under $100 million, because I feel like that's when the studios start to care. Yeah, exactly. Do you know how much Oppenheimer cost to make? That's what I was going to say. $100 million. That's it. They set off an actual nuke for Oppenheimer, and it cost that much money, and they set off an actual bomb. Now, on top of that, and even going back to what the writers want, do you know how much Marvel's Secret Invasion cost? Oh, God, I can imagine. It's ridiculous. It's $220 million. I think that was, six episodes? So one could have been a movie. That doesn't matter. We'll talk about it here in a second. We will. Because, yeah. Yeah. I don't know if that was written by AI, but like it might have been. The credits were definitely created by AI, which they're like, that's intentional. That's part of the thing. Is it though? Off yourself. Also, like, even if that was the case, like, it kind of goes with the flow of what your story's about. Like, this is bad timing on that. You should have gone back and just had someone else like just do basic credit sequence, take this out. just zoom in on like Nick Fury's eye. I don't give a shit. These kind of strikes happen all the time, and we don't maybe see them. Yeah. UPS was about to go on strike, and that got resolved. A couple years ago, John Deere went on strike. They threatened. Like, the UPS one was so bad that they were like, we're going to fucking do it. And then they were like, okay, you guys win. But they folded so quick. This is a super public strike because entertainment is in our home. And I mean, Americans are meant to, like, that's the way the media is. They want you to worship these celebrities. So when the celebrities are mad, the people get mad. And again, I want to make the point of, like, I'm not arguing for the celebrities. Everyone should still get their due, but, like, and a lot of them made the point is, like, I'm fine. Like, yeah, I'm good. Yes. I get paid $10 million every movie that I make. But they realize the
the people who make this movie, because it's not just these actors too. You don't realize fucking boom mic operators are out of work right now. Everybody is out of work.
There's so many little tiny things. I mean, those credits you sit through to see the last thing at the end of a Marvel movie, those are all people with jobs
that do not have work right now.
All those millions of names that flash through.
And you know, that sentiment too of them trying to wait them out until they lose their homes. Sadly, they could have done that with the writers. But now that the actors,
they could have,
because they look, we've got all these scripts that are sitting here anyway. We'll just fucking run with them. But now you don't have actors, like, you're going to start running out of stuff.
Yeah.
And eventually your shareholders are going to start asking, like,
the fuck?
The weird thing is that I discovered, like, Zaslav,
our
good friend Zaslav, he realized somehow Warner Brothers, they'd saved $100 million during the strikes because, they don't have to do anything.
Wait till next quarter, buddy.
But the other thing that's impacting now too is, and what we're going to start seeing is stuff for us is going to start drying up. And certain movies have already been pushed. And now you might wonder, like, why are they being pushed if they're done? Like, they should be putting that out.
Because
during the strike, actors also cannot promote anything. Yes. They can't go to talk shows. They can't go to premieres. They can't go to their award shows, which, again, you probably don't care about, but, like, it's promotion.
That's a lot of things. I mean,
they can't
you think about all those talk shows, especially.
They can't even tweet about this shit. Because apparently one of the Witcher writers, like, tweeted something.
Yeah.
And it got misconstrued. And again, we can talk about The Witcher because that's a whole thing too. But he ended up deleting the tweet and he's like, I didn't mean, that's not why I was doing this, and it wasn't that. So yeah, they can't do any of this. Now the studios are also afraid of, if we can't promote our movie, will people go see it?
Exactly.
So the biggest one that I know of is Craven. And when I say biggest, what I mean is the biggest move.
Yeah.
Because I don't know if that movie.
I don't know
if the movie's going to be good, bad. They clearly don't have enough faith to just put it out. We're like, no. Someone needs to go talk about this. It was supposed to come out.
I mean, they did hold Morbius for almost 3-4 years.
In what, like 7 weeks?
Yeah.
And has now been pushed to August of next year.
Yeah, an entire year.
Nope. We're just going to go ahead and wait. I think Dune is getting moved. Apparently, the Ghostbusters Afterlife sequel, I guess, was filmed. Because it was apparently going to come out in December.
That makes sense because the last time we talked about it, it was like an icicle logo.
But now that's been moved also to sometime next year.
Yeah.
Spider-Verse, which was scheduled for March.
Now they're threatening that it's not even going to happen.
Although apparently it's not done.
Yeah.
So I don't know how it's going to come out in March. But yeah, now there's just a threat.
They're going to overwork those people is what they're going to do.
We may not it may not even happen. As if, like, I don't know if that's supposed to get us, the audience, to be like, go back to work. I want to see this movie. If that's the studio's idea of, like, we got to turn their opinions, like, look, I'd like to see a conclusion to that movie that I really liked and that was awesome.
But also, do you know how many times you guys have burned us with cliffhanger movies and shows that you've never went back to?
Yeah.
Past fucking 50 years.
Because if you want me to get another soapbox, I'll also argue, like, if you're going to do a long form story, you should have to commit of, like, we will finish this.
Yes. The studio themselves should have it.
Whether you all go see it or not, I guess, fuck it, we'll finish it because one of you wants to see how this ends. But also, I don't think there's anything that they could cancel where it'd be like, that deeply affects me. It would just be like, oh, all right. I mean, I guess that happened.
We're used to being disappointed by shit every day. I don't know why they think.
And honestly, I would rather there be less stuff out there for more good things to come to the surface.
Yeah. Indie movies are gonna have a real time to shine right now.
I think I saw Mark Ruffalo make speaking of Mark Ruffalo, a huge shout out in Ninja Turtles movie.
Yeah.
But he made a comment like urging other actors, like, go to the indie scene, like, let's stop working in this studio system. Although if you all do that, then the indie scene is just going to become the studio system. But yeah. So this is I don't foresee this ending, honestly, anytime soon. No, I think it'll get till winter when we're out of shit to air, and then that's when stuff's going to start going down. And we are going to lose certain things, and that's why we're not really talking about a lot of news today either. Because, like, first of all, there ain't a lot of news to talk about that's not this. Yeah, the only news we have really is thing got canceled, thing got pushed back. Because the canceling thing, what you're also going to run into is actors have commitments, and if certain things run over now, it may be like, well, I can't do that now. I can't do that project now. It may just be like, well, then I guess we're just going to cancel it. Sucks to suck. I guess, one other news, I'm sure Disney, once again, another big flop. Haunted Mansion, massive failure. And, I saw a couple reviews that were nothing that's like glowing, but no one that's negative is like, yeah, it's fine. I do think maybe Disney? It's an impact of nobody could go promote it. Because to be honest, like, I've seen the trailers for it. I didn't realize that it came out. I didn't either. Last weekend? Yeah. It came out the same weekend as Turtles. So I didn't even know. Yeah. Because, I mean, I do kind of want to see it. Actually, I legitimately thought the trailer looked
Didn't look that bad.
Interesting and fun, and I like the cast, and that's kind of in that kind of movie. Like that's what you need to sell.
This is like another Disney flop. There has not been an actual success for Disney for a minute.
I think we are going to see a lot of movies after this now get pushed back because I think, like, I don't know what the projection was on Haunted Mansion.
I don't either.
Period. But I think they're going to see it as not being able to promote this.
Yeah, the next Disney project is going to be an animated movie, which is I saw the trailer. I couldn't tell you the name of it because it didn't leave an impression. There was a talking goat with a deep voice.
Oh yeah, we saw that.
Wish.
Yeah,
that's it.
Wish. I'll admit the goat's voice was like, oh, that's funny. But now I've seen it in the trailer, so like that joke's over.
Yeah.
But
I mean, that one Disney movie that also came out recently, Elemental, massive failure. Buzz Lightyear failed. Strange Worlds failed.
Elemental, though, I think is a failure on a level of, again, most reviews I read about it were like, even I thought, like, concept-wise, like, that's a cute idea. I'm not a huge Disney person, so I'm not like, oh, I'm going to see it. But, like, you know, I wouldn't not watch it if someone would put it on. But also, and I think, is it Bob Iger? Is that who's back in charge now? He kind of, you know, he's mentioned this too. One of like cutting back on Marvel.
Yeah.
Because there's too much of it.
Too much.
Although I think he also kind of meant like, oh, we're just making, you know, we don't have to make it that good. I think he also was kind of saying that in a way. But also there's now this preconceived idea of, well, fuck it, what is, you know, what sells a kid's movie and what made them their money is you're not just selling one ticket. You're probably selling 3 or 4 tickets per.
Yeah, for a family.
And
also
and that shit is expensive.
But then also you're getting like you get the toys and stuff. That's why there's always a cute character in these movies because like kids want to go get a plush after the movie.
At the theater, even if your family, like, we don't get snacks or we sneak that shit in. If you're just going on the price of tickets and you're a mom, dad, and 2 kids, you're probably still easily talking about almost $100.
I can tell you the last when I bought our tickets for Ninja Turtles, the adult ticket price for just this is was it Real 3D? Is that what that's called?
Yeah,
$16 for an adult, $14 for senior, and it was like $12.97 for a child. So $13 for a kid. So you have a family of 3 kids. That's already over $30 for just the kids.
So why would they spend that when they're like, or I could wait 2 months and I pay for Disney Plus,
which
so
is
we'll
like
watch
$12
it on Disney Plus.
And also the kids will shut the fuck up and sit down.
So I don't. Did this movie come out this year or was that last year? It was last year. Strange World or Strange Planet, whatever. And
it came out in the middle of a lot of bigger movies too.
And again, but just like looking at a poster, seeing even a trailer for it, you wouldn't even know, like, is that going to theaters or is that on Disney Plus?
Yeah.
And even if you did know it was going to theaters, like, what is going to be a big enough draw of like, we will spend money to go see that? Maybe something like The Little Mermaid, which in live action,
it also failed
here. It did really well overseas.
Yeah.
And it didn't like bomb here compared to the other stuff that Disney's had recently.
It just didn't make what it spent.
It wasn't Lion King, you know, didn't hit the $1 billion mark here.
Yeah.
But, you know, that did have an appeal too of like being a black Ariel this time. And, you know, maybe you're just like, oh, now Ariel looks like me.
Yeah.
Also created controversy. Like, Ariel's black.
I still won't lie. Them casting Ursula as Melissa McCarthy is one of the funniest things ever.
But I get it. I mean, I legit get it's like the name sells.
Yeah.
And like, oh, she's big. All right, Ursula.
It works.
It's like casting Patrick Stewart as Professor X. Like, I mean, yeah. I mean,
he's a bald dude.
Absolutely. It's what you would do.
Slap a wheelchair on him. There you go. Like, no, you're so right with that stuff. Like, it's so strange of like how much of the stuff is like failing and succeeding. Like Barbenheimer has no reason to be as big as it was.
I think that is, and I'm the one who I've not seen either. Nemo has seen both, and he did it the proper way.
Yeah, I did it
one day.
Which
one did you do first?
I did Barbie first, and then we did Oppenheimer afterwards, and I saw it on the same day, and it was 2 days after it released, still sold out. I bought my tickets online, and I had to confirm that I was coming so they could make way for seats if I wasn't going to show up.
Do you feel like that's the right? Are you glad you did Barbie first and then Oppenheimer, or do you think
the experience with the people there was really fun doing that? Now, as far as seeing,
did you notice anyone else from your Barbie screening that also walked into your Oppenheimer screening?
A ton. Actually, the people we sat next to in
was there some pink in your Oppenheimer?
Yeah, I wore pink, and the person I went with, they were all black, and that was a lot of stuff. Some people were dressed up in full-on suits. It was actually pretty great.
I think that shows, again, the sway of the power of social media for good or ill.
Yeah, for better, for worse.
But that would have given it a big opening day or a spike or whatever. The success of both of those actual movies is the fact that both of them, turns out, apparently, are just good movies. And so after opening day, everyone that left was also like, hey, you should go see these.
Mm-hmm. You get that word of mouth.
I've had, some of my lady friends.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, you going to see Barbie? Like, I'm not going to go fucking see Barbie. It's dumb. I didn't play with Barbies or whatever.
Yeah.
And then a week later, they're like, I think I'm going to go see Barbie. And I was like, what changed? Because I told them, I was like, I don't think it's what you think it is.
I knew what it would be.
But as more word of mouth of it spread, and also spread of like, here's what this movie is actually about. And also it's actually really funny. And turns out they just didn't spoil it all in the trailer for you.
Yeah, there's nothing.
And, now Barbie, I think might be for this year. It's already crossed $1 billion.
Yeah, it's.
So I think it's beat Mario as far as fastest.
I think it did.
And I think it probably will surpass Mario's box office take.
It's still selling tickets now, like as we speak.
Very impressive, to be perfectly honest.
Mm-hmm.
I really didn't think that. I thought Mario genuinely, not that it deserved it, but I thought it would take the year.
I think the thing with Mario that they missed opportunity on was not releasing it in summer when kids could go and see it anytime they wanted to.
Well, I'm going to disagree with you there, because I think what we are just seeing right now, when you're talking about like these hits and misses and these bombs, like actual bombs. That's funny talking about Oppenheimer and bombs.
Yeah.
Again, what a risk Nolan took's like, man, if that movie does not do good, like you've just given every single critic like, well,
yeah, you've given them ammo.
But I think what we saw is it was almost too crowded of a release schedule and market.
Yeah.
I can't remember from my past life, like it used to just be like one big movie a week, but we've had weeks where it's like 2 or 3 big things, and like Barbenheimer again is a weird thing of social media took this
and they just got lucky
and ran with it, and they got lucky, and then also they are good movies. I mean, so word of mouth was carrying them.
I was also in the movie. I think I did a really good job, acting.
Were you one of the kins?
Ryan Gosling. He's literally me.
I think that his agent might have some discrepancies with that.
But for sure, like
that does explain the pink car out front.
With even with Oppenheimer, for it having the insane cast that it has, you wouldn't know some of those actors are in the movie because they didn't even advertise
the fact. But even that, I don't know what its take has been, and it's not going to be like a huge. It's not going to be even close to Barbie, but being a 3-hour,
it beat Joker,
rated R, no action movie.
Yeah,
because even I know is like, yeah, the bomb test goes off in the middle, and then that's it. Yeah. Like there's the rest of this is
it's all
existential dread,
all talking and political.
Strangely banging a lot of women. And then
Oppenheimer got around.
So I think it's almost been too much. And again, this isn't just the Disney factor. Streaming in general, it's just like, I'll just wait. I'm already paying for all this shit, and for these streaming services, as they divide themselves and everyone wants to make their own. Well, you got to have a hook. You got to have like, what are you getting? So like I happen to have Peacock on a whim.
Sorry.
It's not that I was like, I love everything that's on here. I wanted to watch Halloween Ends. I didn't want to pay for a movie ticket. I was like, getting Peacock for 1 month costs less than getting this movie ticket. So like, fuck yeah, I'll do this. And I've just kind of kept it. And now Twisted Metal came, and they've got the John Wick show coming.
It's really funny. I actually had an opposite experience of this. We really wanted to see Nope, and it was on digital. I'd already seen it once, but then they were like, it's on digital. We went to Amazon to go rent it, and it was like $28. And we're like, fuck that, we'll go to the theater and see it, because it would have cost us like, I think it was like 31, and it was so much better because we could still watch it in IMAX because it was still streaming in IMAX.
But Peacock, and actually, Nope, it's not there now, but when it was on Peacock first for streaming. It actually came, I want to say like a week or two after it was digitally available. Mithrigan was the same thing, and they've had some other ones that like they bring them quick.
Yep.
So that's their grab. Paramount. Hey, you want to see Top Gun Maverick? Right here, we got it. Like, gotta have this hook. But it's like, well, if you're all just gonna bring this shit like within weeks, I'm not paying to go to a theater.
Yeah.
Unless it's like, and the thing is, like, if you're not producing something that's really good, that really makes me want to go to the theater to do this, or makes a person want to do that, then they're not going to anymore.
Exactly.
'Cause we can watch this at home. We have, even if you're not doing great, like you probably have a TV that's 46 inches big. You get close enough, like that's fine.
To quote Blizzard, you got phones, don't you?
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Look, people are okay watching movies on their fucking phones now. So
I mean, I do. I'm not gonna lie about that.
I was gonna say, like, I watched The CinemaSins for 65 today while I was at work on my phone, which I don't normally do. And there are moments where it's like,
Sure.
special effects in this movie don't look too bad. And then I realized,
You're seeing on
I'm
the
watching on my phone. I'm sure
tiniest
because you
screen.
saw it on a big screen, I'm sure you'd be like, I mean, they didn't look like they're terrible, but
Honestly, the effects themselves didn't look bad. It was just the design overall.
but yeah, I think again it's too crowded and they're not trying.
No,
A lot of movies aren't trying. That's what's happening to, as we talked before, with Marvel. I don't think that superheroes aren't out of fashion. People aren't exhausted of comic book movies. It's
Exhausted of bad movies.
it's that you're not making anything good. I don't know what Guardians' total take has been, but it may not even have done as well as
It did well.
the Eternals did. I don't know.
Guardians did pretty good.
But, and we talked about in our review, what you saw with Guardians was, oh, hey, this was somebody who wanted to make this story
Yeah, someone actually wanted to do this.
and who put their all into it. And
So did the actors because
You know,
they liked the director.
the studio probably was involved, but also that one is probably very hands off in comparison to, like, I think there is a good-ish movie in Quantumania. I don't know if it's the studio's fault. I don't know what is going on entirely at Marvel.
I still can't believe that Quantum Mania literally has the "they're standing right behind me" joke in that movie.
It's still not, and it's not funny.
No, it's not.
Let's talk about further catch up. Secret Invasion.
You know what? Secret Invasion was something that I was like, you had told me about it since you're a big nerd. You told me about this cool thing. And it's like, hey, you got all these things, like these scrolls, which I thought scrolls were pretty stupid. I'm not gonna lie, but I like the idea that's like, hey, they've been these people for so long, they forgot what they were, and then they announced Secret Invasion. Had pretty cool looking trailers, got a little creepy alien vibes, like like your 1930s.
Looked like
stuff.
you're going to get a little political paranoia.
Yeah.
A little bit like Falcon and Winter Soldier.
Yeah.
Hopefully better, but
Something that a lot of people like, especially like Winter Soldier, kind of like a new version of Hydra is kind of what I was expecting. What I got was nothing.
and it actually, it achieved nothing. By the end of it, it's simply like, so what did he do?
Like
Because they're still here.
there's nothing.
I mean, the main bad guy's dead,
Like
but also what did he want? What did it
Yeah,
matter? And there was no paranoia. The final fight turned into like, oh yeah, this is a Marvel thing.
it turned into the She-Hulk joke.
And dude, I literally had the thought of like, She-Hulk straight up called this shit out. Like, I know people hate on that show, but like,
And you
I
still-
think this is what the writers were getting at. And I think they actually were straight up taking the piss out of Marvel.
Yeah.
And like, you should go back and rewatch that shit and be like, oh,
Like I mean,
you know what? This is actually pretty funny. And
the fact that he actually started like turning into Abomination,
and even that,
like it was like too real.
I want to speak from the nerd part of me before I get into anything else with this. Those two, Emilia Clarke, and I don't know the other actor's name.
Hey, he was in Barbie, and you know what? He actually acted like a real person in Barbie.
He's been in something else too recently, but I can't think of his name.
He was
can-
so fucking boring in this.
You can
this show.
edit this in of me saying name here.
Mhm.
They're both versions of the Super Skrull, which is from the comics. Generally, it's taken from the Fantastic Four, and
Sure.
the Super Skrull has all four of their powers. There's been other Super Skrulls since then that basically it's just a Skrull that has 4 or 5 different powers.
Sure.
Because generally the rule is like once a Skrull takes on like a power, it can't transform anymore, and like it's
Yeah.
stuck with this. So that
Which
one's-
this show did not say anything about that.
So these are like special ones or whatever. What they did here with them, first of all, like they gave them too much. Like Captain,
much.
they had Captain Marvel, Hulk, Abomination, Captain America. First of all, why do you need that? Like
Yeah.
they've got Hulk.
Yeah.
You're done. Like Captain America being a super soldier doesn't matter if
Mantis, Drax, Groot.
and the Drax arm was like
That looked
first of
pretty- that
all,
looked
he
pretty
doesn't have like power. He's just strong
he's just a
because
guy.
of whatever his species is, and like those tattoos aren't part of him. Like those are tattoos.
Yeah.
Why do you have them?
And also,
even
the
with-
bad guy from Iron Man 3, where the fuck did they get that DNA?
Well, that one I'll give up on. That was called Extremis. So it wasn't necessarily that guy. That
His
was,
picture is in the show. It is him.
but I'll just give it up of like, oh, I guess you got the Extremis formula.
Sure.
But like again, you don't need that. Just she has Captain Marvel's powers. First of all, you just stop there.
Yeah.
I mean,
stop.
we've already established she's the most powerful one. So like,
Yeah.
okay, just made another Captain Marvel.
She 1v1 Thanos. There you go.
And if it's supposed to be that Fury has like just been collecting all of the superhero goo
That's really weird.
to whatever end, I was like, okay, but how did you get Mantis? Because she never came
Yeah,
to Earth.
she was on the issues in the fight in Endgame. That's what they're saying that they got all the DNA from.
So
That they sent scrolls at the end of Endgame to clean it up, and they got DNA from everywhere. So somehow they knew there's like, oh, that's Mantis blood. Sure.
and we need that. Which I mean, granted, like I guess it would be one like, yeah, take that. But also, like, why do you have her shifted in that power? Like, if you shifted in her, then just say go to sleep.
Yeah, yeah.
That's
Oh, I think actually she did do that.
she did, and it was just it looked bad. It was too, and beyond the look bad, it was too much. Just give 4. Just pick 4.
It just doesn't make any sense either.
And
it's
it really
how do you
what
know
it
how to
felt like
use these
was
powers?
you know what it felt like. It was like, what files do you have on your computer? Well, I've got the Drax skin. I've got the Groot skin. Because at one point she gets Corvus Glaive's, or he gets Corvus Glaive, and it's got his rings. And it's like
Like how the what?
that's not part of
his
him.
body, huh? Like what? What does that mean?
And what it is, like, that's the file that we have. The file has rings on it because he's a CGI character. And also, even that was like, what? I mean, I guess he makes sense because he was all telekinetic and shit, but like,
What?
Proxima Midnight also shows up and is like, she didn't have a power. She was just, and also, I mean, I guess you could get her goo because Scarlet Witch just fucking threw that bitch into the thing, but
Yeah, sure. You know what? You know what power they didn't get? They didn't get Spider-Man.
which is weird because Skrull Fury was hanging around Spider-Man for an entire movie.
Yeah, they couldn't afford to pay Sony for that.
Well, it's true that it's not on their computer. It's on a Sony computer.
Yeah. So and also it's like,
And
why not have like a bunch more villain DNA? That would be more interesting.
that would have been interesting. And where you like, I think what they wanted to do is clearly from the comic books, it was hey, this actually has been going on for years, and nobody. And I mean, you're not wrong. Writers didn't know it either. Just like, just say it's been.
Also,
Elektra's been a Skrull for fucking 5 years. But also, like, well, it's comic book, so you can draw in whatever characters you want. It's like this is like, we're not paying to get fucking Chris back in here.
yeah,
And Robert, for sure, we're not fucking paying him to get back in
you're already
here.
paying Sam Jackson way too much to do this anyway.
So I get, like, maybe that was part of it too. Is like, well, if we put a bunch of powers in one of them, like, we can do this. All right, fine. And also, I never expected any Skrull reveal to be, hey, this big main character that has their own movies, it's a Skrull. I always knew, like, no, you're going to pick side
someone.
players. Rhodey being a Skrull, honestly, like, not surprised. Like, that's who I assumed you were going to do. As soon as I saw that he was in the series, I was like, well, he's going to be fucking Skrull.
It would have been really funny if they went all the way back
the Terrence Howard
to
thing?
the Terrence Howard and have him be,
Or at least make a joke about it.
That would have been funny as fuck.
Again, in She-Hulk, Mark Ruffalo Hulk makes a joke about,
exactly.
like, I was a different person back then. It's like, you were.
Instead, it's like this one, just like, oh, there was actually an emotional scene with Rhodey in a movie a while back. Turns out that's not him. And it's like, that's stupid.
I don't think that they even know that.
No.
Because I've seen where the writer's like, or maybe not. Or, you know,
Well,
I don't know.
what they
I know
did
what
is-
he thinks it is.
The outfit that he's wearing when they get him out of the thing at the end is the outfit that he's wearing when he went into the
Yeah.
MRI.
And people are still like, oh, his legs don't seem to work when he gets. Look, first of all, make whatever fucking can you want to
Yeah,
make.
well, I don't give a shit.
Because clearly they are really making it up right now.
I still think it
And-
would have been better if they pulled in all the Netflix guys and had them be Skrulls.
Or even that also would have been fun.
You could have tied up a storyline there.
And also there wasn't, I didn't understand what the fucking driving plot of this was.
There
I
wasn't
get that
one.
Fury didn't find them a planet. Okay, fine.
What changed? Why do they care now?
Part of it's like, well, you've been on Earth this whole time. And I even get like, well, you want to be yourself. You don't want to, whatever.
Yeah.
Okay. So even if I give you that, fine. This is a problem that Marvel has. Like, if you're going to set all this universe up, like, you've got to deal with it. So I think at one point in the show, Fury says, like, I realized after 1 year, like, there wasn't no planet out there, blah, 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 blah. Like, even in our actual real fucking world, like, we know, like, there's tons of fucking planets out there.
Like,
and,
what the fuck are you talking about?
I don't know what ship you're on and where it can go, but, like, I don't know, Carol seems to go a lot of fucking places. And even if the Skrulls aren't liked somewhere, like,
You can ask fucking Thor.
it's like, yeah, why don't you, like, carve out a piece of New Asgard in New Zealand and let them have fucking that?
What?
And he's like, people won't accept you here. It's like, we accepted Asgardians. I mean, I get it. They look like us, but, like, I don't know. Like,
Yeah.
Thanos came and a whole lot of other shit happened. Like, at this point in this world, I feel like, I don't know, this green dude, we're fine.
There's also no reason that the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. shouldn't have appeared in this.
But this is my big thing. Think of Endgame.
Yeah.
The beginning of Endgame. Nebula says she knows where Thanos is. He always talked about going to his garden. And then when they go there, Carol's like, no one's here except Thanos. That's a whole fucking planet.
He's a fucking
And then they
planet.
chopped his head off, which means, and it's a planet that apparently you could grow food on and do whatever.
Yeah.
So there is a planet for the Skrulls.
Yeah.
Fury, I get it. You weren't around during that. You were dusted, but like Carol was there.
Yeah. There's Rhodey was literally there.
Which
He's a Skrull.
was he? Was he not? For me, and I took this as, you know, when I said in our Guardians review of like, again, I'm not like exhausted. I'm not done with these, but I'm done caring about this universe.
Yeah, this
being wrapped up in the story of this universe.
They really tried to make up for this story sucking ass by putting in the first violence and blood.
Well, they gave a little bit of that in Captain America, or when old dude.
But like, I mean, he does
that guy.
I mean, he does shoot someone right in the face, and you see it on screen.
Yeah,
in this
that
one.
part. Yeah, I mean, I'll admit, like, the shows have been slightly daring in that. But even like, again, Moon Knight, which is a character I loved, and I wanted that show, and I didn't watch it. I didn't watch it because, well, it turns out Moon Knight's in this fucking show for 15 minutes, and every time he does something, guess what? We black out.
Yep.
You know why? Because we're not going to pay to film a cool action scene with Moon Knight. We paid for Oscar Isaacs, and that's all you're all getting. That's it. And apparently they switched out screenwriters in this Secret Invasion. I forgot his name, but the original screenwriter they had wrote on Mr. Robot. Look, I don't know what his script was, but Mr. Robot is literally like my second favorite show of all time and is one of the best things I've ever seen. I guess it's probably better than what we got here.
Yeah.
And then they had to reshoot this in 4 months. And I think you can tell in a lot of these episodes because, like, it's a mess. And I think Samuel L. Jackson only filmed his scenes for 3 weeks.
Yeah.
And, like, if you can't do this, then don't.
Yeah, just don't. Like, yeah, you're so right on it. It's like you could have added like so many things in here, like that could have been really fun. Like you could have added Eddie Brock in here or something. Add these characters, these deeper cut characters than just the guy from Black Panther and War Machine.
What I'll say is what this should have been, what Secret Invasion should have been, isn't a show, isn't even a movie. Well, it should have been an Avengers movie, but what it really should have been is an entire phase, or saga of the MCU.
Because
I get the timeline thing that they're doing. Well, I don't, because they don't know what they're doing with this fucking timeline thing. And I know what they're going to do. Like I've said before, they're going to reset the universe because at this point you kind of have to.
Yeah.
But even if you melded those two things together, Secret Invasion should have been a part of this saga of, hey, turns out some of the heroes we've been following, they're not who you think they are. Some of them don't know that they're this. Instead
I find that much more interesting.
We're going to cram this into 6 episodes. It's going to have generally no bearing on anything other than we're going to kill Maria Hill, who was a cool character who really didn't do anything. But just like, we need the show to do something, so you're going to die. And we're going to kill Ben Mendelsohn, because why not?
Sure.
I guess.
Yeah, everyone's really attached to this character we've seen once.
So I guess it also means that Martin Freeman's character, whose name I forget right now, but from the Black Panther movies.
Agent Ross.
Yeah.
He
I guess in Black Panther Wakanda Forever,
he was a Skrull.
That was a Skrull.
Which is like, also doesn't really make sense. But
and even though I liked Olivia Colman in this, and she honestly was kind of the best part, I watched the Honest trailer today before I came over here, and they made a joke, but I agreed with it of like, shouldn't this be Julia Louis-Dreyfus?
It really should have been. She must not have been available that day.
Shoot her on a fucking green screen and just put her in there.
Yeah.
I mean, not only can you I know that they can do it. Fucking Zack Snyder did it with Army of the Dead when he had to replace the fucking sex creep. And that also was like, if I didn't know that you did this, I wouldn't have known, because like, that was pretty fucking good the way you. And it just shows like you're not even using the characters you have correctly. If this twist is Rhodey has been this since whenever, like, if that was your idea of a story, like, that's shitty, because the emotional beat of Endgame is now lessened by the fact of Tony's best friend wasn't even fucking him.
This is a green alien.
And does that mean like we're gonna get some stuff with Rhodey where it's like, hey, so we have a lot of stuff to tell you. Tony's dead. Also, half the world was killed, but we brought him back.
But also, like, a big thing of this show too is like
Thor got fat.
Yeah. The whole show itself makes you think like, oh, Nick Fury could die at any time. Like he's on the chopping block, even at the end when it's like, obviously we know that's fucking Emilia Clarke. Oh, Nick Fury could die. Maybe those stakes wouldn't be as bad if, the Marvels trailer didn't come out and he's like in every single shot. So you already have like a main tension of this show just already dead, because you know that Fury's gonna survive.
I even had the thought going in is like, you've already shown the Marvels trailer and he's in space in that.
So he's gonna go back to space.
And like, I don't imagine Skrulls don't seem to be any part of that movie.
Yep. Yeah, it's like this whole thing it had so much potential, and it dropped everything it had.
And I'm not arguing like, oh, it should have been more like the comic version of the story. I mean, I would have liked that, because it doesn't need to be. The whole MCU has been, we're going to take a twist on it. Captain America Civil War is not the Civil War from the comic books.
Right.
And that, again, that was a whole like year-long fucking thing kind of fall out of that. And they were like, we can get this all in one movie. And they did. And they took their version of it as like, that works. That makes sense. So I think, yes, you could have done Secret Invasion. And the cool thing with the Secret Invasion in the comics too is what it leads to is the villains. Actually, this ties in with what you're saying. Like have villain powers.
Yeah.
The villains eventually end up getting to take over because they kind of help push the Skrulls back.
Yeah, yeah.
And so you have like Bullseye pose as Daredevil. You have Venom pose as Spider-Man.
Yeah.
And what you could have done here though is look, you have Fantastic Four now. I know people like them. I don't really care, but that also means you have Doctor Doom, who I think is a cool character and could be an actual villain over the MCU. Like, this is a great time for you to introduce Doctor Doom.
Yeah. And you could have taken every single, like I said it again, like every single Netflix show, you could have had all those characters return. You could have killed them off. You could have killed off Danny. You could have had them all be Skrulls. I mean, I think Luke Cage coming back as a Skrull would be like, you know what, that's kind of interesting. Then you, like you said, you also have access to Bullseye. He could wrap up his story.
And because, you know, look, Daredevil and Kingpin are here from that series, but they can just be them. Yeah. They're still here. But you don't want to do anything with Luke Cage? Cool. Just bring him in and say he was a Skrull.
Yeah, that's a good way to wrap up some stuff.
Kind of like how Doctor Strange gave us, like, you all want fucking John Krasinski to be Mr. Fantastic. Well, here.
Yeah, here you go.
Now, if we don't make it, like, well, you still got to see him. So, like, there you go.
And like I said before, there's no reason for the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. to not help out with this. They even kind of hinted at something that like kind of felt like they were going to say that, oh, there's a person making a machine for us. Or two, like a married couple or something like that making a machine for us. And it's like, you could have thrown in the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. right there.
I think I read somewhere too where the writer or director said the only two edicts he was given were Rhodey's his legs can't work at the end.
Yeah.
And there's something else. Oh, Fury's got to end in space.
Yeah, great. Let's have an AI write this because that's what it felt like. And then also the beginning of the show was literally AI generated like credits.
This was a bummer, and this did for me seal the okay. I'm done. I'm done. Caring about this universe. If another Marvel movie comes out and like, look, I don't think the Marvels trailer looks bad. I'm not like pumped to see it, but I'm like, it looks like a fun movie, I guess.
Sure.
I'll kind of wait and see like, what did other people say that saw it?
Yeah.
It's like maybe it is like a Guardian situation. Like it's it's a good time. Go see it.
Yeah.
Or it's another Marvel. Like that's what it is at this level too. It's like it's another Marvel movie.
Yeah.
I feels like we're in the late 90s where it is again. And I mean that in the terms of look, now we're just at a point is like some of them are going to be okay. Some of them are going to be bad. Occasionally there's going to be one that's really good. We're not in the Infinity Saga anymore of like, even though it's had less than great ones, but like they all were like, hey, you know what?
Sure.
And we're still enamored with like, wow. They're telling a whole universe story over all these different things.
Yep.
The allure of that is gone now. And also, the more that you all do that, you got to fucking keep up with it, and you're not. I had an issue with that in Iron Man 3, which was right after the Avengers of like, why isn't Tony calling any one of the Avengers to help with this? The president was kidnapped? You want to call Captain America?
Yeah.
Seems like he might care. He might help. I'm
pretty sure he lives in Washington, D.C.
And that was like a minor thing, but now it is just like, okay,
sure.
All right, so, there's a whole universe. Like I know they're out there.
Well, speaking of the late 90s, how about you tell us a bit about that Twisted Metal?
So that is very 90s. Like I'm not finished with it.
Great review.
No. Well, so I turned it on like the day it premiered. I was like, okay, I'm gonna watch this.
I saw one clip where there's an EB Games in a mall, and that copy of Twisted Metal hits their windshield.
Yeah. That's pretty much the beginning of the show. So it does open with some car combat, and some of like the missile shots, like the smoke is colored like purple or blue. And for me, like as I'm a fan, I'm like, oh, it's a homing missile. That's a zoom missile. The missiles don't act any different in the show, but I was like, it's pointless. That is only for a fan to be like, oh, that's this.
Yeah.
And the copy of Twisted Metal hitting the car was like, okay,
that's Deadpool humor.
Well, as you know, it's written by them.
Yep.
And there's an essence of like Deadpool working in a way of they throw 100 jokes at you and like, depending on your sense of humor, 20 to 60 may hit.
Yeah.
But it's done in such a way of like, for most people,
yeah,
it can be tolerable. It's like, okay, because enough of this was funny. So it's fine. Here it is like, they're doing the same thing of like, all right, dude, like, you don't need to make a joke out of every fucking thing. And like,
yeah.
I know it's supposed to be kind of ham-fisted and kind of cartoonish, but like, I don't need like, but it still also does try to have serious and sincere moments. And it is like a world, like they're building a world. And I'll give it this credit too. I do think that you could have kind of just made a tournament show. You could have had every episode follow a different car or background story.
A different character, yeah.
Or even if you want to have a character you follow through, do a tournament. But I also get like, well, what's the longevity of that as a series? Like if this does work, like we can't do 3 seasons of a fucking tournament.
Right.
So making this post-apocalypse world and like where the cities are walled off and you have these, they're called milkmen, and they deliver things between the cities, and they live out in the Badlands, basically,
Yeah.
where all the criminals were shoved out. They don't get to go in the cities, but they deliver stuff between them. And I was like, okay, you know what? This kind of works. It kind of works with the conceit of the game and excusing why cars are being used this way. Okay. And like Sweet Tooth is in there. There's parts of the show that feel like, did you just have a post-apocalypse script? And then Sony was like, put some cars in there and drop this clown.
Yeah.
And then we're good. And there are other little references and things that, again, a fan will pick up on, of like a character name or even a car that doesn't last very long was like, oh, that's Shadow.
Yeah. It's just funny stuff from the game and stuff that's like, oh, that actually works.
And some characters, again, their names are like, oh, you're Mike and Stu. You drive the monster truck in the game, but here you're these things.
I saw some comments about it. People are just saying, yeah, the show wasn't bad. No one's saying it's great.
I've seen people hate it. I've seen people, really, really shit on it. And to a degree, it's kind of like, what did you want them to do? Again, I am in a boat where I'm like Kevin Smith level of, it's insane that I'm watching a Twisted Metal show. Because this isn't even a super popular game. Sony doesn't even really give a shit about
They haven't even
this.
made a new game for that in years. So it's like
Over 10. 2012.
Yeah.
Valentine's Day.
The fact that it gets a show over a game is already pretty crazy.
I mean, there's rumors that they are working. Sony's got them working on a new
I
game.
wouldn't be surprised.
But, for being literally Sony's first franchise, it's also one that it's almost like where Nintendo seems to sometimes not care about Metroid, or Capcom doesn't give a fuck about Mega Man.
Yeah.
Sony doesn't really care about Twisted Metal, but it is their first and longest running franchise.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, Sweet Tooth is, for them to like it or not, like, he's basically your mascot, because you don't have Crash Bandicoot anymore, even though for the 90s that was your mascot.
Yeah.
Nathan Drake isn't generic white dude. Joel and Ellie, also generic white dude. But like, even if people don't know Twisted Metal, like, they kind of know Sweet Tooth.
There's a big clown who drives a car. It's kind of hard to ignore that.
He's got a pop figure. I mean, I know everyone has a fucking pop figure.
Yeah.
And I've got him. So yeah, for them to take it the way that they did, even if it is kind of just a skin laid over it of Twisted Metal. And I've also heard the latter half of the season gets better. And I think the final episode, without spoiling anything for me or for anyone listening to the show, does seem to actually set up a car combat tournament. Which, if you've seen the trailer, there's one shot in the trailer where it does look like a bunch of cars shooting at each other, which I guess is the last episode.
Yeah.
I hate that. I hated the last Mortal Kombat movie, where it's like they feel like they need to do a prequel to the thing that is the actual thing.
Yeah.
And it's like, you're making a movie of it. Just do it. I don't know why you need to like lead into it.
Yeah, we don't all just want a fucking cinematic universe of everything.
But it's better than I expected to be, to the point where I watched 3 episodes back to back. And that, I think,
that's a pretty good testament.
The best praise I can give, where I genuinely expected I'm going to watch this one episode and probably be like, I knew I'd watch all of this eventually, because okay.
Yeah.
But even though I was like, I'm going to fast forward through some shit. But I found myself like, all right, let's go to the next episode.
Well,
all right, let's do the next one. And
so would you recommend it?
I would. Like, I'm going to say, it's definitely not going to be for everybody. It's gorier than I expected it to be.
That's interesting.
And it does, I would have preferred them to do, I think what most people wanted was Twisted Metal Black, which is the darkest, most violent, mature version of the game.
Yes.
But people also forget, like, the Twisted Metal is cartoonish, and it is outlandish and over the top. And this show seems to be trying to kind of do both, with the gore aspect while also just being zany, dumb shit comedy. So yeah, it's not gonna be for everybody.
Yeah.
There's definitely cringy stuff. I wish it wasn't leaning so hard on the 90s soundtrack, even though I do get the reason of like, well, the game came out in the 90s, so like, fine.
Did it go pretty hard on it? Like,
yeah, if you remember the original teaser with them using Then Steal My Sunshine.
Yeah.
It's that.
The whole show.
That level.
Okay.
Yes, it's there.
Was there any song that stood out to you, any needle drop that really kind of bugged you?
No, not in the first 3 episodes. I can't even recall the song, but I mean, every one of them, like, I don't remember this song.
Yeah, okay.
And again, the cars do look good when, just in the first 3 episodes, when there is cars or combat, it's pretty well filmed action. Even the scene in the mall, which is, again, that's one of the examples of like cramming a joke in there. That one is actually kind of funny, where he's like, oh, they have a Foot Locker.
Yeah. I
liked that joke, but everything else around it that led up to is like, if you just left it be this joke instead of this other stupid thing.
Adam Sandler should have walked in when they're in the mall.
But actually, that whole mall chase shootout was pretty dope, and it had me wondering, is like, did y'all actually film this like in a mall? Like,
Yeah.
how much of this did you do practice? And everything that I've seen so far, like there wasn't any bit of CGI where it's like, oh, that's rough. Like it
That's
does,
pretty good.
believably, it looks like I think they might have filmed a lot of what I watched anyway of all the car stuff's like I think they're all real cars.
That's interesting too. I mean, that's good. What we want to see more.
So yes,
Practical effects.
I do recommend it. If you already have first of all, if you're paying for Peacock, watch it.
Fucking
'cause
just watch it.
Why not? And I even without having finished it, and I'm going to obviously, I do hope there's a second season, especially if it is the whole point was like, well, we were leading up to the thing you wanted to see, which is
Yep.
a car tournament and all these crazy fucking cars. So I would at least like to get 2 seasons out of this.
Yeah.
And look, I'm also not a big fan of Anthony Mackie in general.
He's okay.
He is okay. I don't hate him. There's nothing wrong with him. I'm just like,
Yeah.
and he is kind of a made up character in this, which I also hate. I hated it in Mortal Kombat.
Yeah.
There's no reason to do this, but I do think I think eventually he is going to be someone that was from the games.
He's just kind of like an origin kind of a thing for him.
Yeah.
Yeah. That makes sense.
But, and you know what? Samoa Joe.
He's not really like a self-insert. Do you think like he's not supposed to be the player?
No, I mean, he does have a story, and like even the setup of a story and his name and the car he's driving leads me to believe, like, I can see like could be this.
Because the Mortal Kombat
car-
one was definitely like a self-insert kind of deal.
The car seems a lot like Roadkill from the game.
Okay.
There's a character named John Doe in one of the games, although I don't think he's going to be this John Doe, but so there's stuff where I'm like, okay, you might be this. And again, Samoa, I didn't think it was going to work, but legit, Samoa Joe and Will Arnett as Sweet Tooth. I actually want to give credit to Samoa Joe. Like, I don't know who went first.
Yeah.
But the way he moves his body to what Will Arnett is saying, if you did not know, you would just assume like, well, I assume that's the same guy fucking talking.
I kind of feel like it was definitely Samoa Joe acting and then Will Arnett copying his movements with his voice.
And
he seems like the skilled enough guy to do that.
And with Sweet Tooth, I do wish that he was more dangerous and scary. Like,
Did they make him a little bit too over comedic in a way?
again, if you watch the other clip they released of his initial fight with Anthony Mackie, the whole like, I'm a little bit more Hawaiian punch.
Yeah.
And singing along to Cisco's thong song. But, okay, that was one. But I take it back. Like, that one was like,
That Neil. Okay. Yeah.
okay. Yeah. I'm fine with them being jokey. I'll give them props to this. And this is what showed me is like, somebody involved in this does really like Twisted Metal.
Yeah.
There's a there's a whole bunch of lost endings from the very first game where they shot movies for the endings. They're terrible.
Yeah.
The
I've seen some of those.
Sweet Tooth's, one of them, he just wants his friend, Harold, I believe is his name, who is just a paper bag. That's it. Not even with a face on it, it's just a paper bag.
Cool.
Harold. And in the show, when he's getting ready to do his show for John Doe, he mentions somebody and he's like, oh, I haven't introduced you to him. Turns around in a chair and it's just a fucking paper bag sitting there. And I was like, huh. All right. Like, that's like, and I could see, he's like, look, if you don't know Twisted Metal, like, that joke's not funny.
But
like, you wouldn't get it. But if you do know Twisted Metal, it's like, oh, look at that.
That's pretty good.
Okay.
I respect that.
So for as much as they changed and it's not exactly what you want, like,
there's enough there.
there is stuff that is in there.
Yeah. Well, speaking of drivers, I did see 65.
We've talked about 65 before.
I'm just messing. I had to just do it.
I was wondering, I was like, what's the segue going to be?
No, what I wanted to say is the little girl that's in 65, she's in Barbie. She's one of the other main characters.
Yeah, she was in something else as well recently. But yeah, he that got brought up in the CinemaSins that she's in Barbie.
Yeah. I don't want to talk too much about it, but let us chat very briefly about Ezra Miller's Flash.
Okay, it sucks.
You want to suck nuts? Let's suck nuts.
It is
They took Flashpoint, which is
barely
a comic book movie that a lot of people like. I thought it sucked ass. I hated that movie. Sorry.
Flashpoint Paradox.
Yeah.
I don't watch all the DC animated stuff.
I thought it was really stupid. So I know a lot of people love that. So sorry.
I think they mostly love the comic book Flashpoint. I mean, I'm sure that a lot of people love Flashpoint Paradox as well, but I think most of the love is the actual comic story.
Okay, that makes sense. So this movie just straight up is like stupid. It's just right off the bat, it's just a dumb movie.
I want to say I went in
I had a decent time in the theater making fun of it.
wanting to like this, even down to like, I keep my movies in a binder, right? And so I've got a binder now of just my superhero universe. So my MCU movies in it's a very small section in the back of my DCU movies.
Yeah.
Which I'll admit, Snyderverse. And I had a spot. I was like, okay, I guess Flash will probably go because I felt like this is going to end and wrap up, even though it's not technically part of Snyderverse, but like it's like it kind of is going to be, and it'll end it.
Do you know about the joke in Barbie?
Is there Snyderverse joke in Barbie?
You're gonna hate it.
I mean, I can make fun of Snyder, like again, but so I went in there like not even, and the movie didn't even have to be great. It's like as long as it's good, you know what? I think I will buy it so that I have this story, this universe story.
What do you think about this movie?
And,
right at the beginning, pissed me off.
Well, so one thing I do want to say is and it's mostly in the beginning, a couple lines of dialogue that indicate this is absolutely not just Snyderverse, but like Zack Snyder's Justice League is the version that this is taking after.
Yes, it does.
I don't know, because now it's been so long, but like I think Iris West says something, and it might even be and also might be when Barry talks to Bruce, and he mentions like I did it before.
Yeah.
The time thing, which I mean that's how, and that's not at all in the original Justice League. That is only in Zack Snyder's Justice League. So there was that, and there's something he says to Iris that's like, oh, I don't even know what it was, but I guess it's revolves around when he saves her in Justice League. So immediately I'm like, so this is acknowledged. So that's the canon.
Yeah, which already makes things more confusing.
I mean, I was all for it, but I was like, I thought Warner Brothers was straight up like, no, we're not. Like, fuck that movie. Like,
I think they legit just don't get
Justice League is the one that is canon. So I was like, okay, and that kind of got me on board of like, okay, so I'm with it. If this is what you're doing, like I'm here. But I knew going into it that there were bad special effects or something was like off.
Yes,
even to the point where the director is like, no, it's how it's supposed to look because this. Which even as I read that, I'm like, well, first of all, you have to defend this. Like you're not going to be like, yeah.
Yeah.
But I was kind of like, oh, you know, his explanation was like, Forda was like, okay, it's supposed to look this way because we're in the Speed Force. That's what he was saying. Fuck you.
That's all I have to say about that.
So I'm sitting in the movie, and the opening of the movie is some cringe humor. And
about trying to eat.
And, you know, if any part of Ezra Miller or his version of Barry was annoying to you before, this is all of that in 5 minutes.
It's tenfold. Yeah.
Although one joke I did think was kind of funny was the title. Like that the title, it comes up for a second and then stops because he stops gearing up.
Sure, I'll give it that.
Because the kids or whatever. And I was like, I mean, it's kind of dumb, and I don't like that the title is just like imposing over the screen like that.
It was weird.
It was cheap looking, but I was also like, that's kind of funny, I guess. But also,
I'll give it that one.
To be honest, though, that also setting the exact tone of like, this is the kind of movie you're in store for.
Yes.
So eventually, he's got to go to this hospital that's like caving in, and then he's got to save these babies that fall out of the window of this hospital, which the setup for that was also like, I know I couldn't tell. It's like, are you making a joke? Are you filming this to be a joke? And look, I don't think Andy Muschietti is a bad director, but I also don't think that he's great. I think, honestly, I think the first It is kind of a fluke.
Yeah. It was the kids that carried that movie.
If you remember in the It Part 2, there's a scene in the basement of the pharmacy where the hypochondriac kid gets vomited on, and he plays
music out of nowhere.
Earth Angel or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And it's just like, clearly he thinks it's funny.
Yeah, the tone is so not there.
But it's like, what do you do? Like, what that scene was like, that threw me out of the rest of the entire movie because I was thinking as a filmmaker, it's like, what were you doing?
Yeah,
why did you do that? The scene actually was like scary. Like,
that's how I feel about this entire scene of where he puts a baby in a microwave.
So I kind of feel like he's not Michael Bay.
No.
But like, dude, you've got some weird sensibilities.
Yeah. It's very strange.
No, I'm going to circle back to this. Sorry, I know I'm going long. So the babies are falling. Flash goes into Speed Force, and he's saving them, doing whatever. And like, look, you can't totally grab him because he's in the Speed Force. He ends up putting one in a microwave, which I guess that scene leaked early and out of context. Like, what the fuck is this?
People put it in reverse, and it's really funny.
Even in the movie, it's like, what? I mean, it does kind of explain why he did it, but it also was like, but you didn't need to. You didn't put any other baby in anything.
Also, the microwave was on. Like,
it was unplugged.
No, but he was cooking a thing in there, so it was on.
And even that's kind of like, you had to like script this, and like a visual effects artist had to like make it. And also, he made it over the weekend, but
those
still,
babies look pretty damn bad.
So that's what I was going to get at. The babies look terrible. Like, if you've ever seen Twilight Breaking Dawn, the Twilight Baby,
yeah,
this is worse.
I would say so, because it's like their eyes. It's all the eyes. It looks like cartoon eyes.
They're dead.
Like the dog, especially, like literally looks like a Looney Tune.
Yeah, the dog does look like a cartoon, and that even comes in the end credits, and it's like, did you?
They were proud of that one, apparently.
Did you want to make a cartoon? I don't understand what you wanted to do. So I thought, okay, this is the bad special effects you're talking about. And it's like, well, we are in Speed Force. Even though, again, once he stops and they're on the ground, it's like, babies still don't look right.
Baby still
Which
looks
is like, why didn't you just have real fucking babies? Or do what Clint Eastwood did. Just put a doll there.
yeah.
And then Ezra makes what's strangely a oddly timed joke for his life of just like, mental health is not something Justice League's very good at right now. It's like,
that's one of two that he made in this movie.
no fucking joke, man.
What do you think immediately after that?
But I want to point out, these babies are not the bad special effects.
Oh no, we were just
we get to those later. That's when I realized like, oh, this is what he was talking about. I'm like,
yep.
Oh no.
So what do you think is the thing that pissed me off right after that baby scene? There's one scene that instantly made me mad. Even the person I was sitting with turned and looked at me and pointed and laughed.
I don't know. I know for me it was Batman bouncing around.
It was when Wonder Woman shows up and her theme song starts fucking playing.
I was 1 second behind you. I was like, oh wait a minute, maybe it's the Wonder Woman. I was like, did they play her music when she showed up?
Yeah.
Look,
they sure fucking did.
I was glad to see Ben Affleck again, to be perfectly honest.
He looked sad. He looked real sad.
I didn't like what they did to his batsuit in this. I know they're going for
shit. I didn't notice anything.
The like blue gray look, but they also gave him a lot of like armor layers, like and he's in broad daylight too, so it's like this doesn't work.
Yeah.
Even though I like I like that it was tying together. It's like, oh, they're the Justice League, so like they're here. And I guess it's
Superman's dead.
This is just fine. No, he's alive at this point. Because they make it. They do. I even was like, fuck, you couldn't even get Henry Cavill to do like.
He went over to go see Black Adam real quick.
Like you had him. Just you have a CG version of him. We'll get to it. Wonder Woman shows up, and it is. I didn't see Shazam, but like I saw the clip, and it's just like
the fake Gal Gadot in that one.
No, I think honestly, I think this specifically, like I think this was probably her part was probably filmed 3 years ago.
Yeah, for sure.
I don't think Ben was originally there because I think that was slightly more recent.
Yeah.
Even though again, that's the thing. Is like this movie's had tons of stuff added, taken out, and you can partially tell that it's a couple different movies going on. I don't mean different plots, like different versions of this movie.
Yeah. It feels like a jumble of shit.
I think there's at least 3 to 4 writers, and 2 of them, I'm going to forget the other guy's name, but John Francis Daley and then his partner, which is the guys who did Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah.
And who wrote Horrible Bosses and Game Night.
Yeah.
They're good writers. And there's bits that I've discovered like, oh, that was a bit of their script. Yep. So there are 2 scripts being shot.
I wouldn't be surprised if there's more than that.
Because this movie's been almost not as long as Black Adam.
But it's just about as long, I'd say. So, you get your main plot where he's like, oh, I figured out.
Somehow.
My dad's going to go to jail. I got sad and I started running really fast and I went back in time.
That part was also weird to me. It's like, I know we got to get to like the crux of the story, which is timelines and shit. But like, so you're going to reference the fact that he did it before in Justice League. And you're telling me that he didn't. I mean, I know that that was a big deal that he did it then. Like he knew he was breaking a rule and like that this can fuck stuff up. Show me he didn't try to mess with it at all.
Just once.
And this, from my memory now, is like he just kind of does it on accident here. Yeah. And it's one also. This is not important, but like visually completely different than what he did before.
And then you get the awful CGI.
We're gonna call it the time sphere. Okay, fair enough. You need to somehow visually show.
Or was it Chronosphere?
Does he call it that?
I don't know. That might be from Mortal Kombat.
No, I know what you're thinking of. Mortal Kombat Annihilation with those hamster balls.
No. There's one of the Mortal Kombat. The more recent one has the whole thing is about time.
Oh. Well, anyway, we'll call it Chronosphere. That's a cooler name.
Cool name.
You get the Chronosphere, which you got to visually show like timelines and stuff. Like I get it. So you see a bunch of stuff from his past, like his mom dying. And then you also start seeing like the Justice League fight with Superman when he reawakens. Yep. You see Zod from Man of Steel, which I want to point out. I think having Zod kind of be the villain of this and the Man of Steel incident being the big kind of action climax of this is actually, I think, really cool to call back to like, hey, 10 years ago.
That's an idea.
This is how this started for you as an audience. We're going to use it to basically like.
It's just a shame there's only been like 6 movies since then.
Yeah.
But it doesn't feel like it was that long ago.
In this, what you get, the special effects here, it literally looks like a PS2 character model.
It does. And they tried to argue that it's supposed to look like that. It's
it's not. And again, I get it. It's your movie. You got to defend it. And like, there's also like, this is your job. Like, you're not dumb. You're not Josh Trank. Yeah. Like, you're not going to fucking sink yourself. Like, yeah. Especially because I think they're offering him the new Batman movie, which now I'm a little fearful for, to be honest.
I will say though that when he's in that sphere and he looks through the first time, his head comes out at the baby scene. It's actually worse than the Thor head.
That there's been other people who have actually used that side by side of like, I guess this is what special effects look like now.
Floating heads.
And the actually with this, let's just be, what I want is them to be honest and like, just admit that two things. You ran out of time and you ran out of money.
The run out of time is probably the funniest.
Because I think a lot of this was somehow, even though you've been working on this for 5-something years, a lot of this was added last minute. The stuff at the end with all the cameos, for sure.
Absolutely.
It was added last minute. And I don't even, some of them, they still look bad and weird, but like some of them look better than the Chronosphere stuff. And it was just weird. Like the Henry Cavill bit, it's like, why don't we just use the clip from the movie?
Yeah. Like
why did you do this?
And that's the other thing too.
Like with his dad crying over his mom is like, you had that, like I get it. You definitely were going to pay Henry Cavill to come in and shoot something. But like this fucking guy, he's here.
Yeah.
Just shoot the fucking scene with him.
It's so stupid. And then like, of course, like, you know, when he actually goes back in time, he meets himself.
Hey, did you like having one Ezra Miller?
Let's have two.
Now you have two.
Let's have two and have one be stupid.
I'll say this, for me, I thought the double effect was pretty good.
Oh yeah, it actually did look good.
Other people complain. I was like, I would believe
genuinely
bought, like, I thought there were two of them.
But also when he gets launched into that timeline, it's like, oh, well, that's him. It's so predictable. It's like, obviously that's
demon thing.
Yeah, it's so obvious that's him.
I'm not going to say like right off the bat, because he's in this chronosphere, and then like it's legitimately
the
like
time
scary
he's in the movie.
Scene, I guess. Something like just charges at him and fucking pushes him, and it pushes him out of the sphere, and that's what causes him to actually come into this other timeline.
I figured that was so
where his mom was alive.
That felt so obvious that it was going to be the version of him in that universe that was going to be that creature.
I'm not going to say, I don't think that I had that thought right off the bat.
I even turned to the person I was watching it with, and I was like, this is the end of the movie. And
sometimes I do just kind of like my mind does like think and put things together, but sometimes like I just want to like enjoy. So I wasn't like, I mean, I knew like, actually, I'll tell you what I thought it was originally. So if you remember in Flashpoint Paradox, it's Reverse Flash.
Yeah.
That's who.
I knew they weren't going to do that, so I figured it was going to be just be him.
And I think in the story too, like that's who also killed his mom.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Which, spoiler alert, while that's an inciting incident in this movie,
they never
doesn't seem to be a concern to anybody who actually killed him.
No one literally.
I will say I did call the whole like he's trying to get his dad out of prison because he's in for the murder, and it turns out like he didn't look. He had to go to the grocery store to get something, but he never looked up. So immediately I'm like, well, I know how this is getting resolved.
Yeah. that was very predictable.
So that I did call, but I guess I was thinking of what little I know of the Flashpoint story is like. So Reverse Flash.
Yeah, I knew that they weren't going to do that if they're going to do the rest of the Flashpoint, because the Reverse Flash is so popular in that CW show, and they apparently refuse to have anything to do with that show.
So let's rush through this. One, I'm just gonna tell you, like, don't watch the movie.
Yeah, the movie sucks.
But the person you went and saw it with, they had a good time with it.
Kind of.
And I've seen some other people too that are just like, look, they're not saying it's good. They're like, yeah, it's lacking, but like there is fun that you can have with it. And like I didn't hate my time. Tell you what, I walked out, I guess, more satisfied than I did of Love and Thunder.
Yeah, at least I laughed.
So we gotta talk about the Batman of it all. Michael Keaton's good. I mean, he's fine. But every single Batman thing was in the trailer.
He serves no purpose in the end. He has no character wrap up. It adds nothing to that character. He's just a set piece.
You get the mildest idea of what's happened since his movies in terms of he stopped being Batman. And he says because
apparently all the villains
crime in Gotham went away. So I guess Batman won. So he became a recluse. By the way, if you're hoping to see the Batmobile in action, you're not going to.
Nope. Just sitting there, right?
He uncovers it and he sits in it. Or Ezra sits in it.
Yeah.
Michael Keaton doesn't. The Batwing thing that he flies is kind of cool with the whole way the cockpit like
that was a toy.
Spins around. I mean, it literally was a toy.
Yeah, like that's all that was. It was like, I had this toy as a kid. Let's put this in the movie.
There are some fun callbacks, and there's some other callbacks that are like, wow, you're just shoving everything in here, aren't you? Which again, it's all in the trailer. Like the whole you want to get nuts.
Yeah.
Let's get nuts. It's like it's not forced in, but it's like, God damn. Like I get it. I know it's a famous thing that he said.
Michael Keaton in this movie was what people thought was going to be Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield in Spider-Man. That's what they thought was going to happen to those characters in that movie.
I thought you were going to say that he wasn't trying.
Well, yes.
Because I think that
he was fine. Like, yeah, there's nothing wrong with it. His storyline, even at the end, has no end. There's no wrap up.
Again, and I think this is
They did a fake kill off of him and then they reversed it.
I think this is something of reshoots and re-editing.
Lots of
And
re-editing.
we know that because there's a completely different ending that parts have leaked.
Yeah.
That like Ben Affleck is trapped in the multiverse.
Sure.
And some other stuff.
But Superwoman looked really cool. She just didn't have a character.
I hope that actress, I hope she gets to continue to be Superwoman.
Oh, I thought she was really good.
She
looked a good role.
Almost nothing to do.
Yeah.
And this is again, this is where I could see some like, okay, there's weird editing, not even weird editing, just like you've cut stuff out. Look, if you're wanting her to be more Superman like, she's not. She's still the standard of her style of like, I don't know that I should save humans. Like, fuck you all.
Yeah.
Although this one has even more of a reason because like
she was tortured.
We captured her and we tortured her. By the way, she gets her powers real fucking quick.
And
she's okay with it.
She's cool.
Pretty okay.
Yeah.
So she goes to where Zod's meeting the army in the desert, which is kind of a callback to Man of Steel, even though Zod wasn't there. Doesn't matter.
Yeah, don't worry about that part.
And they don't have Superman, obviously, because like one Superman is dead.
Yep.
In this timeline.
Well,
he says it because the baby didn't survive. Like
yes,
Zod killed.
yes. Okay, I didn't know what you meant. I was like, yeah.
Anyway, Supergirl's there. She sees it and they start fighting. And then we cut back to like Wayne Manor and like Bruce is like, I'm not going to help you. And Ezra's all like, sad.
Yep.
And Supergirl comes back. I was like, I mean, I knew this had to happen. I don't know why we're having this third act fight thing, but it's like, weren't you just at the battle? Like,
yeah. Like,
I was even like, why didn't Zod fly at you? Like, clearly you're who he's after. Like,
why did he follow you?
The camera kind of made it quite clear. It's like, pretty sure he sees you.
Yeah.
And then she goes back and
to lift him into the sky, and
she's like, I'm going to help you. And then they go to the fight and it's like, so is this battle been going on for how long has this battle been going on for? Yeah. And then also they get there again, she's given some cool fight stuff with Zod, and you get the vaguest hint because she asks about her cousin, which is Superman, and he's like, yeah, baby didn't survive what I did to him. Turns out you have the thing. And then Zod just fucking kills her, and then you get the other Barry who's like not okay with it, which again was like, I haven't seen you become attached to Bruce or her, especially her. You haven't had a whole lot with her of like, why do you care?
How do you feel about that needle drop?
What
Exactly, there isn't one. They say, come on, Barbie, let's go party, and then nothing happens.
They're not going to pay. Warner Brothers was going to pay for that for this movie.
It's in the credits. Aqua is credited for that song. It is still in the credits. It was cut out at the last minute.
Wow.
It is literally in there.
I didn't stay through the credits. Oh, wait, yes, I did.
Yeah.
Because I saw this fucking scene at the end.
So I just wanted to say that was a really weird out of nowhere thing where there was obviously a needle drop, which would have been so inappropriate because that does not work with whatever you were doing there. But it's still so funny that it must have been such a last minute thing. It'd be interesting to re-edit that song in there and see if it syncs up.
I mean, it probably doesn't anymore because they edited the shit. And
the fuck was that?
Don't worry about it. And so this ending fight is mostly a fucking cartoon. Like, because it's all CG and it's not really good. And
they're bouncing around. He has a painted Batman suit.
Like, I'm not a big fan of the Flash, and I'm not saying that I have an idea of like what cool stuff you could do with Speed Force, and I didn't watch the Flash show because I'm not a big fan of Flash.
Yeah.
But last thing really to talk about, two things. Like you discover that
planets,
the fucking monster villain is Other Barry, who continues to try to reset this timeline because Supergirl and Batman keep dying, and he won't accept that, even though our Flash realizes this world is going to die. Like,
it's pointless.
This world dies. It can't be undone.
Yeah, sorry, dude.
And I also give this movie credit when Batman does at one point explain the multiverse, and he's just dumps pasta in the bowl. He's like, it's this. Like, it's not straight lines. Like, it's this. It's a fucking mess. And I was like, that's kind of a metaphor for this movie. And also, like, you know what? I appreciate that you're not going to try to further explain it. And you are just kind of like, none of it makes fucking sense.
Yeah.
Don't worry about it. You can't, shit happens.
Yeah.
Basically, it's what he says, like, shit happened.
And then we get all of the multiverse planets crashing into each other.
We get the cameo, which I would think this would have been here, or something of these would have been here regardless.
Probably.
But this does also feel like, oh shit, I can't even be totally from No Way Home because No Way Home was 2 years ago.
Yeah.
But
what is it? Adam West Batman.
We get to see Adam West Batman, George Reeves Superman, which that one felt fucked up.
Like, that was really weird.
Because also, again, young audiences aren't going to even know who that is. And it's like, that dude killed himself.
Yeah. That was weird.
I mean, I'm sure that they got, paid to...
The guy who paid the Flash back then, too.
No, that apparently is just some guy that they had put in on that costume.
No, I just meant the design.
Oh, yeah. They had old school Flash. But it was like, you couldn't get the fucking Grant dude from the TV show who Ezra Miller did a cameo of in their Flashpoint story. tying the shit together. So I was like, do you all just hate
He just
that?
Yeah, they must hate that guy.
We get Christopher Reeves,
Which is also fucked
Superman, and I don't remember the actress's name,
Yeah,
but the girl who played
Superwoman.
Supergirl in the original movie.
And then
Christopher Reeve, one, like, it doesn't look great, but the way that they're lighting it covered up the rubberiness of it. So it was like, okay. Then we get something that I was astounded.
Yeah.
And I sat there, one, delighted because I was like, I get this. Two, confused of like, I don't think anyone else in this fucking auditorium gets what this is and why it's happening. And then furthermore, I was like, why is this special effect? This dude for sure would have come in.
Yes.
And honestly, would have done this for free. I get why you don't have him talk, because if he talks, you got to pay him or whatever. But again, I think he would do it for free.
I think he would
wants
too.
to be Superman so bad. So we get Nicolas Cage, Superman, that was supposed to happen from a Tim Burton movie, fighting a giant spider.
Yeah.
Which, if you've never heard Kevin Smith tell the story of this, you can find it numerous places. Just look up Kevin Smith.
And there are pictures of Nick Cage
Superman
in the
story.
suit.
Yeah, there's video footage of it. And it almost feels like they just took that footage.
Yeah, they just copied it.
But I've heard that they had Nicolas Cage there.
That is a CGI Nicolas Cage.
And shot him. But again, I don't know.
Maybe they literally shot him.
I didn't, I really didn't dig into it. But it was, if he wasn't there, that is again where it's like, you could de-age him, first of all.
Yeah.
They're like, he would for
also,
sure.
The hair is fake too, obviously.
He for sure would have done this. Because if you don't know, like, Nicolas Cage really wanted to be Superman. In fact,
that's his favorite.
I think he did get to voice him in the Teen Titans Go animated movie. And that was a big deal for him. That's why they had him do it. Because like, oh, you really want it. So like, I got the entire reference, but it was like,
But
I know
why?
nobody else in this like all these kids in here is like, this is so confusing to you and dumb. So even I thought it was dumb because it's like, who is this for? I mean, me, I guess, but
you get all this and then you finish it off with, of course, he doesn't learn his lesson. He still adjusts something in the past.
Yeah, that's the thing. He did learn a lesson and then he still goes and I was like, you're still adjusting the past, dude.
And it just does a joke so he can say, what the fuck?
I don't forget his tooth falls out, which was a callback to something earlier.
Shut up. That was stupid.
So it turns out when he goes back to his timeline, he didn't go back to his timeline. He's in another timeline that I guess is super parallel to ours.
Yeah.
And he does manage to get his dad off. That sounded weird.
Yeah.
And then Bruce walks up, but it's George Clooney.
Yeah. Which is also like insulting to George Clooney.
No, I mean, George Clooney readily, like, if you don't know, like, and I assume it's true, like, if you see George Clooney and you walk up to him and tell him that, like, you saw Batman and Robin, he'll give you $20. He'll pay back your movie ticket. And he's mentioned numerous times, like, I almost killed a franchise.
Yeah.
Everyone involved in that movie, like, admits just like, this is a thing that happened.
Which is weird to me that's what they would do at the end.
That wasn't the original end. Like I said, they shot multiple different ones. And that's what's happening with Aquaman, which has also been pushed.
The after credits scene.
But Aquaman's also been pushed back. It's like, just fucking put the movie, like.
No one cares. Like, actually, no one cares.
And at this point, you're probably making it worse. Just cut it, like, because they have to be doing to it what they did to this. Like, you're just cutting it up.
Yeah.
We know Jason Momoa at one point said he shot a bunch of scenes with a bunch of Batman. Michael Keaton was in it. I assume Ben was there.
Probably the Batgirl movie, honestly.
And now, because I think before they got James Gunn, I think their plan was to use Michael Keaton as a linchpin of like, you're going to be the thing that ties all this together. Since they're not doing that, they're just pulling his shit out.
Yep.
But it's like, why? I mean, at this point, leave it in. I know it didn't sell this movie, but you know what? You won. You gave it all up in the trailer. And look.
Yeah, you literally, like, everything in the movie is in the trailer.
I'm not even judging this based on the craziness of Ezra Miller. I'm just like I'm divorced myself of that, and it's still just, this was nothing.
And it just, it was, the whole movie was nothing.
There's a couple cool Batman scenes, but again, it's in the trailer.
Yep. Then also, there was one Batman that was absolutely not in this.
Christian Bale?
Yeah.
We're not going to pay. I mean,
there's no way he would accept.
And I don't think Christopher Nolan's been a producer on these movies for a while, and he's not friends with Warner Brothers right now. So that's the weirder thing too. Is like you were so random. I mean, Christopher Reeves, like, I get, but like, you're not gonna throw Dean Cain in there.
Yeah, there's so many other people you could have picked.
These are or even the guy who played the Flash in the '90s Flash show, who again came back on the current Flash show to play an older version of like. They
could have actually just brought in Teen Titans, the actual cartoon one. That would have been funny.
Throw Chris O'Donnell a bone. Let Robin do something.
The fact that there was was there a cartoon Planet?
No.
I felt like I saw one, but
No, you're thinking of Space Jam.
they could have just done that. That'd been cool to see the 2000s Justice
Or they
League.
could have just not put this movie out.
That
Again,
too.
I assume it's just like, we put so much money into this, like it has to go. I was like, but it bombed. So I was like, did you have to put it out?
No, so what the fuck are you
And
talking
now-
about? Tom Cruise said this movie was great.
Yeah, I really was like, how much money did you have to pay Tom Cruise to fucking say that shit?
Yeah.
Because there's no way. And people are like, this is the best comic book movie I've ever seen. It's like, nobody. Or you know what? Maybe you showed them a different version of this movie that we didn't get.
Yeah.
And now they're selling NFTs of Flash from this movie.
Sure, let's get even more outdated.
Yeah. But I now am like, Batgirl or Batwoman or whatever it's called, there's no way. There's no way that it's worse than this. So why would you not, man, fucking put that out?
Yeah.
At this point, I mean, you've driven up interest in it, just like the Snyder Cut happened.
Yes.
And yet again, unless we have another pandemic, I guess, we'll never fucking get to see this Batwoman movie.
I will say when I was leaving the
honestly,
theater with
probably
this,
has a more interesting Michael Keaton Batman in it too.
it's one of those moments when you're with people in public that you're like, oops. But as soon as we're leaving, we're like walking out behind these two people. And as soon as we open the door and get out into the hallway, at the same time, one of those guys said, that was great. At the same time, I said, that fucking sucked. It was just like one of those funny moments where he actually looked at me and I was like, sorry, dude. It was a bad movie.
It goes to show, and as we'll transition into our final review thing in our summer catch-up episode.
Yeah.
Every movie is probably someone's favorite movie.
Yeah.
Every movie is someone's
Gonna like it.
first movie. Nobody genuinely wants to make something bad, and like I don't think, if anything, you know what? I'll give credit to Andy Machete of, well, you did it.
At least it came out.
Like
Batgirl
five other directors like came and went, left this like, if any, and I'm not even making a joke. He got it done.
It sucks that
Like he came in and like he did a job and like
he finished it.
Maybe that was even like they were like, look, this is gonna look bad on you, but like get this done.
The actor who plays Zod was like, this movie sucked.
I will say, he did seem like
he just didn't want to be there.
no, because I've read somewhere too before when they like got him back, he was like, I guess he really liked Zack Snyder.
Yeah.
And he's like, I don't know why they're asking me to come back, but like there's a coolness to it of like, okay, I guess we'll do it. And I assume once he was there, he's like, oh, I don't like this.
He said he felt like the movie was like a toy, like a kid's toy.
But he doesn't even look like he's there most of the time, like because the little film of his mask barely ever comes off. It's like, so you could have just not gotten fucking Michael Shannon back. And he does seem like, are you asleep?
Yeah.
What's going on?
Yeah, it was really weird.
So it's like, hey, if you had to put this out, it's like, why didn't you just fucking like suck it up and like give Zack Snyder $100 million? Like, will you come do it?
Yeah, please. We'll ask real nicely.
So that was a bummer. And so
The movie sucked ass real fast.
we'd had a good string of movies earlier this year where it's like, you know what? Movies are back.
I'll say
movies
that
are good.
Barbie and Oppenheimer definitely made me more like confident that some of the movies are good. And then the next one that we're talking about.
Our next one's going to do it too.
Yeah. TMNT.
But I was going to say, there's also, like, I saw Mission Impossible.
Yeah.
It's good. I mean,
yeah, I saw. I didn't see it, but people I know are like, yeah.
But it's also just there. Yeah. Like I came out of the last one pumped to the point where I was like, I'm going to buy this on Blu-ray. Like, and I bought it day one on Blu-ray. This one I'm like, all right, well, I saw it.
Yeah.
I'll see part two, I guess, because like I need to finish the story.
Maybe I think even just knowing there's a part two going into it is like, oh fuck.
I'll give it this. This does kind of actually like have a complete-ish ending. It's not like a total cliffhanger. Like it wraps itself up to a degree. And I saw Talk to Me, which is also good.
I think I want to talk about that one. I haven't seen it yet.
Yeah, I'm not going to spoil anything.
So yeah, let's just keep that on the back burner.
It's good, but it didn't hit what I wanted.
There's something about the movie that I don't know if you know yet, but we can talk about that in another episode.
I like how you haven't seen it, but you're like, I don't know if you know this, but like I've seen it.
No, it's behind the scenes. I saw Indiana Jones. The movie sucks until the last 10 minutes.
Yeah, it's weird, as I've heard a lot of other people say that too. Of like but even that we'll spoil it. Like
yeah.
You should have let him die. Let him die in the past. It's where he wanted to be.
Also the fact that they just killed off Shia LaBeouf is hilarious.
I will admit, like that story beat when I think it was from Red Letter Media's reviews.
You didn't watch the movie?
No. I didn't have anything against Indiana Jones, but I wasn't like excited. And then reviews started coming in from people I trust.
Yeah.
That were what do kids say now? Mid. Things were very mid.
Yeah.
And then there were ones like, this is not good.
Crystal Skull is genuinely more engaging.
I had Jeremy Johns, which is a reviewer I really like, even though I don't always agree with him, but like I like him. Him and a couple others were like Crystal Skull is a better ending.
I
A better
wouldn't
ending for him.
I wouldn't say it's a better ending.
Oh no, I mean for
Yeah, I'm just joking.
between these two, obviously Raider or Last Crusade is
Yeah, that's a
the
good one.
ending. But to like reflect back on there's good stuff in Crystal Skull, I guess, but like it's bad.
Yeah.
And with Mission Impossible, one thing I'll point out is like, what I think it is this was the first one that was shot digital. All the other ones have been shot on film.
Yes.
And I think the look of that, I think you do feel it. I think it changed some of it and was like, there's other stuff that irked me about this Mission Impossible. But again, it's fine. It's fun. Go to the movies, have a good time.
Yeah.
But I was bummed between some bad ones and some just mid things I was excited for. So walking into Mutant Mayhem.
Sorry.
I was
getting a phone call. Hang on. Just
Oh.
let me hang this up. Just making sure it's not anything crazy. Okay, yeah, I'm good. I did see 2 more movies. No Hard Feelings.
Just trying to one up me.
No. It's a comedy movie. It's okay. I didn't really like it that much.
I haven't seen it, but I want to give a shout out to it of like if you notice there's not a lot of comedy movies anymore.
Especially raunchy R-rated comedy.
And R-rated comedies. So
And
I mean, it sucks that it wasn't like really funny for you, but like I'm glad that I think it did okay.
it was fine.
So I hope we get a little bit more of that.
But the other one that I watched, which was Insidious: The Red Door. That movie fucking sucks. Don't watch it.
I think I read that it's made the most money of all the Insidious.
I'm not surprised. It has the original cast in the movie that people did like.
Yeah, it's the Insidious 1 and 2 family.
Yep.
It's what happened afterwards. Kids all grown up now.
You want to know the plot?
I mean, kids being haunted, dad's still being haunted. Their memories have been wiped, so they don't remember the things. But like,
There you go.
it's there.
You got it.
To be honest, like I haven't totally seen the other Insidiouses and Insidii.
Yeah.
They don't really seem super scary to me.
Yeah. The first one was interesting. It had a story.
How's Patrick Wilson's directing? This was his directorial debut.
It was a movie. Sure. You did it.
Shot and framed.
You did it.
Everyone stayed in frame.
Yep.
So it's pretty good.
And it came out. So it was in focus. But yeah, let's talk about the Mutant Mayhem.
So should be no spoiler. We've kind of indicated already. Like
Yeah, we like this movie.
I liked it a lot. I liked it more than I expected to.
I was more so pleasantly surprised by a lot of the stuff. I had no real expectations, but I was just like, turtles. I like turtles. I like turtles.
I didn't know if that's what you were going with that at first, or if you legit said
No,
it.
they actually hired that kid to do a run for the movie.
I saw.
It was pretty cool.
You had a nice fun moment in the movie too.
I did. I'm not gonna laugh.
A pre-YouTube meme type thing.
I'm not gonna lie. I laughed, and I think I even said like, "What the fuck?"
You did. I was sitting right next to him, and I knew that it was a thing, but I didn't know what it was. But I was like, well, it's something hip and young. Well, he gets it.
I wouldn't even say that. Do you remember those GI Joe PSAs that were like being made fun of?
Slapped hams, or what are they called?
Yeah, it was the same guys that did that made that He-Man song. That's what that was.
So anyway, for the listening,
it's singing the song "What's Going On." I forgot the name of the band.
Blind Melon.
No, it's not Blind Melon. I'll tell you.
Four Non-Blondes.
That's it. Four Non-Blondes. Thank you. So it's singing that. I was like, oh, funny song. When I hear that song, all I can think about is He-Man. It plays about half of the song. They crash, and then the action scene starts, and it goes directly into the He-Man version, and they play it serious. It's like it's a fun chase scene, and they're fighting, and it plays the whole fucking He-Man version of the song down to Skeletor yelling, "And he prays!" And
I think that's when you said, "What the fuck?"
yeah, it made me laugh. Well, it was when a Beast Man starts talking, and he's like, "And he cries."
So
I loved that. That made the whole movie good for me.
Set up plot of the movie. This is basically a
new version of the Turtles.
New version and an origin. So I mean, they are teenagers.
All the voice actors are all teenagers.
I think I've read too where there's some times where they just let them riff.
One of them is from Gumball, which is a show I fucking love.
The episodes I've seen of Gumball, it was a show I enjoyed. That's something like that I would watch sometimes on Cartoon Network.
I would recommend it overall. And you know what? He's just good.
Which one was he?
I'd have to
Did you know by his voice?
I'm pretty sure he's Donatello.
Okay.
Because he's the one, like, I think someone...
It was kind of Donatello kind of has a raspy voice.
Well, we had like the other person we saw it with said like Donatello didn't hit puberty or something like that.
He is the one who doesn't, even because they should all be the same age. Presumably.
I'm pretty sure he was the one.
So they're 15 years old. Because we get an opening with Baxter Stockman, played by Giancarlo Esposito. I would say this as a critique. The star-studded cast is definitely just
there
to sell you this movie because most of them barely talk. Like Giancarlo
yeah.
Esposito, he's in the opening 3 minutes and that's it. Baxter Stockman doesn't show back up. Rose Byrne as Leatherhead, I think she has 3 lines.
Yeah, it's not much.
Hannibal Buress was the Toad.
Yeah, he was.
He has 1 or 2. Paul Rudd gets the most.
Yeah.
He's Mondo Gecko. But yeah, so the Turtles, this is a kid's movie for sure. But like I critiqued Mario, this is a kid's movie, I think, doing a good job, being a good movie and not just being brand recognition or IP cash in. This is a fun story and it's legitimately funny. We all laughed legitimately.
I'm sorry, I looked it up just to be sure. I was completely wrong. It's the voice of Gumball, and he's Leonardo.
Oh. Yeah, we all laughed legitimately a handful of times.
Multiple times.
Like not even just like, cringe, or like, what a reference, but like legit Joe's like, that was a funny joke.
Yeah,
and
like
she'll laugh at that.
Even right at the beginning of the movie. The movie has a dark opening. Like, dude dies. Like,
well, presumed,
Yeah,
we're told
true,
that Baxter
true.
dies, but like, they can bring him back if they want to.
but still,
But yeah, it's and the movie is unexpectedly grosser than expected, even though Ninja Turtles always kind of is gross.
This is what you've seen people complaining online about the way April O'Neil looks and stuff. The movie, I don't know I feel like you may have noticed it, but this movie really has that old 90s Nickelodeon feel to me of where things were just gross. Like real monsters as told by Ginger. Actually, as told by Ginger is what it really reminds me of, like the Klasky Cusco thing that the Rugrats studio. Every single human in this movie looks ugly and deformed while all the mutants look pretty clean.
Mostly Superfly is kind of off.
But he has like these straight lines and stuff. He's kind of gross, but he's like
all the humans are mostly
like blobby,
somewhat distorted or blobby,
which I thought was cool. It's like, oh, the mutants are the normal ones in this world.
And overall, I don't want to spoil anything about this movie because I think you should go see it.
Yeah,
I can see where the art style could be off-putting to some people because I did see some of that, while many other people are like, I think this looks beautiful, or it's clearly
it feels
inspired by Spider-Verse, but it's not trying to be Spider-Verse. It's not ripping it off or copying it.
No, not at all.
It's its own art style, and it's kind of got this like comic booky feeling, especially like when smoke clouds come up.
And there's that one scene where they're talking about their big plan, and it goes into like a cartoon animated thing where it's like obviously the old like comic book turtles.
I mean,
but like
even
sketchy versions, like a kid drew them.
Even right off the bat,
that's what kids did, is draw turtles.
Our first time seeing the turtles, for me, it's a reference to the original comic book cover. For you, it was a reference to the 2000s,
yeah,
which was obviously referencing the comic book as well.
Where they don't have eyes.
They don't have pupils or anything.
Pupils, not eyes.
And Leo's being all dramatic, and then they get called out. So I can see where some people might also be upset of this is more of a comedy.
That's the first joke where he says that dude's the GOAT of all time. I was like, that's a funny joke that a kid would just say.
I think do they accuse him of trying to be like Batman?
Yeah,
which is fun because Turtles and Batman have crossed over numerous times. And while this does have because of its art style, presumably somewhat, it does have a dark aesthetic, and so it kind of reminded me in ways of the original live action movie.
Yeah, it just reminds me of like what people drew New York to be like in the 90s.
But when this is a current movie, let's state that doesn't take place in the 90s, of which they make sure that you know that because there's pop culture references that are.
I mean, the Turtles have cell phones,
which also was odd to me, but
I liked that. I thought that was funny.
But this is a comedy, much more so than an action movie or an adventure movie. Adventure is there and there's action, but like.
Good action too.
This is a comedy and a kids movie, but again, it's a movie for everybody.
There was a joke in there where it's like, you saying that makes me think that your dad's a rat. Like that joke actually landed pretty well.
So yeah, what I really want to talk about is I ran into a lot of hate online.
Yeah.
Which again, everyone's entitled to their own opinions. Like it, don't like it. Like I said, I can see where this art style wouldn't appeal to people. And I also know that especially in older IPs, it's hard to
change things,
especially if you're a fan of the older thing. I've had to, that's the thing with me with Transformers with Michael Bay, where it's like, this is not my Transformers isn't how they're supposed to act. But it's also I can't believe that I'm seeing Transformers in live action, so I'll kind of take some of this.
Yeah.
In Ninja Turtles, I had a similar thing years ago with the last live action movies where I didn't like them. But I also realized, you know what? This movie's not being made for me. While Turtles does come from a mature-ish place, they also were a joke from the get-go.
Yeah.
Even in the comics. And where people are complaining about things that are changed in this one, not just focusing on, but April is a big one.
Yeah.
To her being black and to her body shape.
She does kind of look like a turtle. I
didn't
find on purpose.
I didn't really find her being that. She seemed like the most normal-looking person that we saw.
She was definitely the most, especially in the face.
And legit, I didn't look up the actress' name. She was funny. Her delivery of things was funny, like you said, which is even in the trailer. But it still made me laugh in the movie where they're like, "It's not like our dad's a rat." It's like it makes me think he's a rat.
It's a good delivery.
And she's got a couple other lines that she delivers like that, where it's like, "This is funny. I like this April." And
even like her tragic backstory is still played off as a
cute
joke.
Girl.
Yeah.
And yes, she's a different take on April. One, because she's not an adult. She's a high schooler. She's their age.
She's wanted to just be a journalist.
So there, for me, there are still references to the things that I knew, but different takes on them. And look, I'm not going to act like I loved all of it. This is slightly spoilerish, but like Bebop and Rocksteady kind of eventually turned good.
They also don't really do a lot in the movie.
I forgot Seth Rogen was even in this movie until Bebop spoke. I was like, oh, that's right. Yeah. You're Bebop. And like that does bother me a little bit, but not before I'm like, oh, I'm going to complain. I saw so many old dudes complaining.
Yeah.
And it was obvious of you went into this wanting to hate it. So you did. And also like, you're not understanding this wasn't made for you. I grew up in their time too. I grew up in the 80s with the original cartoon that also was a bastardization of the comic. That's not what the comic book was like.
And also, let's be honest, Bebop and Rocksteady is stupid. It's a rhinoceros and a warthog. It's stupid.
And
it's fine.
and also this is, and someone argued, this was someone who did comment back on me and argued with me. He's like, this is for kids. Like, no, this is for everybody. It's like, yeah, I mean, I'm also kind of saying, dipshit, it's for everybody.
That there's kids in the theater having fun.
And also this is for kids. They're not making it for 40-year-old me who grew up with it, making a grown-up version of like, and everyone was, really harping on the original series and the original movie, which again, I do like the original movie. Yeah. The original series, no. Because, I mean, look, it's
literally don't smoke kids kind of shit.
If you like it, cool. But, like, it's bad. It's bad.
The reason that people like it so much now is because, like, oh, it's 80s aesthetic. I can buy that on a T-shirt. Look, guys, turtles.
It's poorly animated.
It's really bad.
Really, I think outside of the first batch, that's even worse animated because it was a cash-in. That's what it was. Mm-hmm. Again, I love Transformers. I'd also argue its series as well. It's not like I would never watch that. It's like, it's not good.
It's actually become a pretty big meme recently that people are dubbing over the original Transformers series and just making new dialogue, and it's actually really fucking funny.
But the original movie, I will argue like, yeah, you know what? It's good. It's better than it has any right to be. Cool. But also, it still was made for kids.
Mm-hmm. Really?
But if you were a kid and you saw that, it also felt like, because I like the cartoon when it came out. And like that movie's not the cartoon.
No, not at all.
And it kind of like it's like I am getting my Ninja Turtles, but also like this feels like real and grown up. Not just because it was live action, like it felt grown up.
Yeah. And I like the second one a lot too.
I think these old men and some of these other people arguing that this isn't their turtles, whatever, is like, I think you want that feeling again of,
yeah, they do.
You want a mature ninja. What you got as a kid was what you thought was a mature Ninja Turtles. But again, only in comic books are their stories ever mature or violent. Everything else and what makes the franchise what it is, it's for kids.
Like,
yes. And I do think some of the later series, which I never watched, but you've shown me some stuff. We talked about it. They did get better with their story, and some story did get a little edgy.
But then it kind of fizzled out because kids weren't watching it.
And Turtles has always also been kind of gross. Like even in the 80s, like I had a toy that was called Mutagen Man.
I mean,
and he was brain and organs
in pizza alone,
see-through body.
Like the pizza thing in every episode, different weird pizza. That was not classic 90s gross.
The only reason I knew about I learned about anchovies
from Ninja Turtles. Me too. Yeah. And this one had a good joke with pizza being like, oh yeah, it's like waffle and whatever pizza. And then like I think it was like April and it was like sounds like it'd be kind of good. But there is one needle drop in this one that you made it like an actual reaction to,
because I didn't expect it.
Yeah.
And it wasn't, again, it was a callback that's how you do a callback right.
Yeah.
Really our first fight scene.
Mm-hmm.
And the turtles are an experience. Like, again, something people complain about is like, they're not taking it seriously and they're not good. Well, again, they haven't done this. Like, yeah, they know ninjutsu, but like they
They literally even said, "Oh, we've never fought anyone before," when they're about to do their first fight.
But in this first fight, which is a really cool fight, at one point, one of them gets knocked into a car and the radio gets turned on. And for like 3 seconds, you just hear, "Go ninja, go ninja, go." And it caught me off guard. I was like, huh?
and it was in the credits. It's the actual song.
Yeah,
so it's Vanilla Ice.
There was actually a lot of live action footage in this too. And like real like cutouts of Chris Pine and Chris Hemsworth.
It was 3 Chris's.
Yeah, we got the 3 Chris's. Something else people I saw complaining about was all the pop culture references. They were like, it was too much and it took me out of it.
The only one that kind of got me is the Ferris Bueller one felt weird. I get it's just because it's a coming of age one.
Yeah, I mean,
and Breakfast Club gets brought up a lot, so like they probably could have used that one, but maybe Seth Rogen just really liked.
Probably really likes Ferris Bueller, and also
it was fine.
You know, it does tie into what the Turtles were.
Yeah. Thematically, it's good, but it's still that was like.
But that was our first bit of live action too.
Because it was also kind of just like.
So maybe that's why I was drawing for you. Where it's like,
yeah,
how am I seeing real people?
And then we see actual Jackie Chan footage.
But I also argued with the pop culture comment of like, that's always the Turtles have always been that.
Literally always.
Again, you go back watch the movie that you're talking about. They're making tons of references there too. First of all, because also they are teenagers. That's the point. Of course, that's what they would do. Are you an old man who's annoyed by teenagers? Then why do you think that you'd like a movie
that's made
about teenagers?
Especially current day teenagers. Every version of the Turtles have always reflected that generation
that they are
of Turtles. I mean, like the original ones are saying shit like gnarly and like
but even
like
in Secret of the Ooze, Michelangelo makes a reference to fucking Ralph Nader.
Yeah.
Which as a kid, I didn't get that.
No.
Because, I mean, it didn't even bother me. I just like went over. It's like, well, I don't know what that name is. Then I was in high school and like saw a clip of it. I was like, well, now I know who Ralph Nader is. Like, why are you why is that in this movie?
Yeah. Just weird humor all around because that's what the Turtles are.
And then the other point and again, if you didn't like this or you felt like you hated it from the trailer or whatever, again, realize the whole point of this franchise has also been not even trying to make a pun, but something that mutates every single time. It's about changing things. And I did bring up in there, because you'd informed me, it's like, this isn't the first time April has been black.
This is like the 3rd or 4th time.
Which someone was arguing that she was black in the comics, which then became, I wasn't part of this conversation, but I read all of it.
The original artist or the creator, his girlfriend was black, and that's who he based April O'Neil off of. But the comics were black and white.
And apparently between the two creators, one of them wanted her to be white, and the other one, the one who drew her, wanted her to be this. And so whenever one of them's in charge, she's this. And, you know, again, it doesn't matter.
It gets stupid.
And I commented on this. Sort of
Mr. Smithers was black in the first season of The Simpsons as well.
I didn't engage anything. I literally said, does this really make a difference to you?
Yeah.
And it was the first time I got a response back on a YouTube comment, because I don't comment very often.
Yeah.
And they were like, well, what if they took a black character, an Asian character, and made them white? Wouldn't that matter? And I was like,
I mean, that's happened before.
So I said, like, you mean like Scarlett Johansson in Ghost in the Shell?
Yeah. Scarlett Johansson in a lot of shit.
And then specifically pointing out, I was like, and unless it was central to their character, like Black Panther or Shang-Chi, I was trying to think of stuff that wasn't Marvel related, but those were the easiest.
It's just at the top of your head.
Like, no, it wouldn't. It would, because it is central to with who that character is. But like April O'Neil being white, black, Asian does not impact her character.
And also she's had literally every single hair color under the sun. So that argument doesn't really hold up.
So like I get not being okay with certain changes, but like that change isn't a thing. And in the movie, her race and her body shape is never brought up. So this isn't a woke thing either. Like I feel like these people are looking to hate anything that's different because it's woke, and it's like, or maybe it's just a different interpretation of this character, and you're making it a big deal.
It's actually like completely fine. I
should have even brought up, like, you mean like Shredder in the Michael Bay movies, where the first one is clearly supposed to be Willem Finkter, who's a white guy, and it's like, oh, maybe we should keep him Asian.
Yeah. It's so stupid. I mean, with the movie itself,
I'm surprised they didn't bring up Baxter Stockman, because like in the 80s cartoon, he was a white dude. But I think in every other interpretation, he's been a black guy.
Even in the 2000s one, he's
in the comic books.
Yeah.
Well, I don't think he was in the original comic books, but now he's a black guy. So maybe it's just like, well, I mean, percentage-wise, now he's been black, so I guess I'm okay with it. But again,
Yeah,
it just
it's strange.
this is
It's
a
really
franchise
strange.
that mutates and changes. For you, yours was the 2000s one, and I think also there are core tenets of the Turtles that are always there.
And also at the end of the day, they're fun action figures. I had the 2000s Turtles action figures, and I play with them every single day.
And I want to point out too, I'm not, if you do like the original 80s one, if you like I'm sure I could rip on the 2000s one if I wanted to. I'm sure there's plenty of stupid stuff in it.
Yeah.
I'm not shitting on any of that stuff. I'm not shitting on original Transformers or Thundercat. My point was all of those things are commercial cash grabs.
You make money.
The only thing that gives it heart is your nostalgia. And that's not a bad thing.
No, that's a good thing.
But it also means like you should, like, yes, I want
Like
to protect.
Secret of the Ooze is a stupid ass movie, but I fucking love it.
I want to protect these things that I do love and care about and that shaped my childhood or even shaped my, fandom now. But
Absolutely.
also be glad that they've persevered and it is still here. And new generations are discovering it who also, guess what? They can go back and find the one that you saw and liked. Or also maybe they improve on it. Look, I love Battlestar Galactica, the new reboot one. Do I want to watch the 70s one? Not
Probably
super
not.
really. And I kind of feel like the reboot one, like, oh, you took that story, you made it better, and you did something different with it. I'm not saying this is that exact case, but like things can be improved on and changed. And I mentioned to you when we walked out of the movie is like, I'm glad they didn't do Raph and Leo fighting.
Yeah, they still had that like rivalry, but it wasn't just like I kind of hate each other. And also Leonardo has always been just like okay guys, listen to dad.
They improved. I mean, he was still that, but like they improved Leonardo here. Like he was
He literally acknowledges that he's lame. Like it's like, yeah.
and like he's the one that has a crush on April. Like typically it's like Michelangelo. And I mean, it's still like gross. Like, dude, I don't think you can have sex with him. But
Is a turtle.
but our four turtles were still our four turtles. Michelangelo was still more like party kind of dude. Donatello was still like the nerd.
He's the smart one.
Raph was still the more violent, aggressive one, and Leo was the natural leader in the balance.
I'm actually surprised they didn't go overboard with Michelangelo. They actually kept him pretty
Well,
grounded.
it's not the 90s. From the 90s,
I'm just saying, like, they could have went really, really crazy with him.
they had fun with him and Mondo Gecko.
Yeah, he was good. Like, it felt like Michelangelo.
And you did feel like they're brothers, and you feel like they were getting their footing of being heroes. And like there's a lesson to learn in this movie, because again, it's a kids movie. It's supposed to teach a lesson, and it does. And I also say this: I didn't expect it to be so fucking. It's gross.
Yeah.
Like I'm not going to spoil it, but like at the end, some shit happens where I'm like, that's body horror. This is a body horror thing happening.
That was one thing I want to talk about is that Ice Cube is great in this. Like,
Also,
every line that he says is awesome.
in his delivery, and he was a good villain.
Yeah.
And I get, even though, like, look, yeah, I want a Shredder. And I hate that every interpretation of these movies always pushes Shredder to the background and just like, oh, next time, though.
Yeah. Which we get.
Look, semi-spoiler, like, this one does. There's the end credit scene is like, there's Shredder's coming. But this was a good villain. This was a good choice because it reflected on the Turtles and their struggle as mutants and, like, being accepted.
It has a solid story and like a wrap up at the end that was really good. And also lots of pop culture references that you really wouldn't expect.
And
Even into the ending.
goes without saying for me, like, I also thought the music was great because
Yeah.
it's Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross.
It was pretty good.
But also, this old man, he was like, and the music was terrible. It's like, oh, dude, like again,
You know what he was talking
I think he
about.
legit. I think he was talking about the actual like
He was talking about
needle drops.
He was
But I was
local old white man angry that kids like the rap music.
I do want to give a shout out though. There's a lot of people in that comment section of that video who were also standing up and going like, I thought this movie was pretty good. And one person, I don't know if it's a guy, one person was even like, look, my crowd ate it up and they were laughing at stuff.
I mean, I don't remember what the joke was, but there was a joke that made one kid in the audience lose his fucking shit.
The main guy of the channel commented on this, and he's like, well, was it all kids? And the person responded was like, no, it's mostly like adults, men and women. And I chimed in and was like, what if it was all kids? Again, the movie's made for kids.
Kids movie.
Like, I mean, it's still weird that you and I guess I'm saying this shit, but you and I are sitting here talking about it too. But it's like, and we would if we didn't enjoy it too. But
The other person that we went with was also our age. So, like,
I wouldn't be violently angry and so shittily dismissive as these people were if I didn't like it. Just be like, this was look like I didn't shit on Mario really. I made it clear like I didn't like it.
Yeah.
I thought they could have done better.
you also fell asleep in it.
and I fell asleep in it, which was legit. I mean, it was legit.
Yeah,
It's only happened in 2 other movies.
that's a real criticism.
But like, I wasn't like, if you like this, you're dumb, and like, this is terrible, and like, should have been this, and like, that's not my Mario. It's like, nope. I mean, they made it, and like, you know, it was what it was.
It's just that one specifically really wasn't for you. Where this one, you actually you vibed with it, as the kids would say.
I did. I ate it up. Gobble gobble, no crumbs.
The other thing too, though, is what's really funny to me is just the Mr. Beast cameo, which is like you.
I wouldn't. I mean, if you didn't tell me, I wouldn't have
no
known.
one would have known.
I think he got in trouble because he made a comment on Twitter.
So that was a thing.
Even though I don't think he's in the Screen Actors Guild.
No, he's not. And people were. There's really a lot of people for some reason really want to cancel Mr. Beast. I'm not part of that shit, so I don't understand.
No, look, but people, everyone.
He was like, I was contractually obligated to say something about the movie. Like that's. I can't. I have to. Like, what can I say?
I think people like I know what it is. Like even this video in this channel, that this particular one I'm not subscribed to anymore. I used to be years ago because he had good news, and like at the time I agreed with some of his viewpoints.
Yeah.
Now I'll just call him out. It's Mr. H Reviews, and then the other channel is Midnight's Edge. I'm still subscribed to Midnight's Edge, but I very rarely will listen to them because it's clear. It's not. I don't even call it clickbait. It's just like hate bait, and
yeah. That's
also
good.
like making everything woke when it's, and I've commented a couple times like, I don't think this was woke. I think you're making it this thing.
It's like when Ben Shapiro posted that like a almost like a 3-hour video or some shit about why the Barbie movie was terrible.
Yeah.
It's like you went into that already mad.
Like Midnight's Edge 3 days before Barbie came out, I was like, Barbie's gonna bomb and here's why, blah blah blah. And I was dying to be like, on Monday, I was like, what's your video gonna fucking say now that it made all this money? And of course, I mean, they were able to like twist it to their own thing.
Yeah, of course.
I'm still subscribed to them because like they do still get good news. Whatever his contacts are, like there's news that comes from there, but it also has become an insight to me of like, oh, some people clearly I guess just want to hate everything. And like I know I'm cynical and like we talk about a lot of things where I'm like, this is terrible. Like they make
right.
I don't want to hate these things. I have these feelings because I love movies and I love
genuine
shows,
feelings,
and I want them to be the best they can. Kind of like when they say no one hates Star Wars more than Star Wars fans.
Yeah, that's fair.
That same idea. But these people also make me realize like, oh, I don't hate things nearly that much. Like, good God, like you all just want to hate.
I mean, I think we talked about it in our Wakanda Forever podcast where I watched someone review it where he was doing nothing but talking about how like he was like picked apart the movie about how horrible like every single scene was. Where he's like, dude,
because a woman's doing it.
Well, no, he was specifically like he was just that much against black people and black power. It was like, am I watching a racist video? Am I on a list now? Like, is this like a terrorist?
There was now with these 2 specific channels, but a couple other ones where I've been like 2 minutes into watching them, and then I realized like, oh, holy shit, you're a bigot.
Yeah. Like you've never really like you always hear that stuff thrown around, and then when you actually see it, you're like, whoa, hang on a second. What the fuck did you just say?
And I guess it's just, I don't think or realize that, of course, there would be those people on YouTube, or, I mean, we know they're on Facebook and shit, but, everyone's YouTube feeds are very unique, right? Like, based on, like, well, you've watched this. Like,
yeah.
I had no idea there were makeup tutorials and shit on there because, like, my stuff is all video games and movies. Like, this was mostly what it was. Like, what do you mean you don't know who Angry Joe is?
He's fucking with me.
To see, like, in that circle like reviews of movies or shows, and even if they kind of I'm on the same page as far as like I didn't like this either, but then they start talking more, I'm like, oh no, the reasons you didn't like it are very different from mine. And then like, oh fuck, it kind of like he was like, shit, oh no, am I on a list now?
Yeah,
that I've clicked on this dude.
Yeah,
and there's been times where I from the thumbnail and the title I can tell like this is just some fucking idiot bitching.
Yeah.
But I want to click on it because like, oh, I want to hear the dumb shit that comes out of your mouth, but like I don't want to give you the view
exactly
or the click, because I also feel like that's what all you really want is for me to click on this.
That's like I said, like the Ben Shapiro thing. I'm not clicking on any of his stuff. All the information I got is from what other people said about it.
I'll wait until some other YouTube commenter makes a video about your video, and then we'll hear the stupid shit you said.
Yeah. Like it's one of those things. It's like really weird with kids movies. Like, leave the damn kids alone. Just let them enjoy their shit.
And I'm not even, this one didn't even anger me on a kids movie level, because I do agree with the person who, they didn't attack me, but came back at me and was like, this was for everybody. It's like, turtles are for everybody.
Yeah.
And like, they they realize that there's generations of people watching this. Like, Seth Rogen's my fucking age.
Yeah.
Of course, don't get me wrong. There's also plenty of comments ripping on Seth Rogen in here too. It's like, of course it's fucking dumb. Blah, blah, blah. Seth Rogen's like, again, it's like, I didn't realize people hated Seth Rogen.
Yeah, that's more of a new thing that people really hate him now, even though, you know, people love The Boys so much.
There's only one person who's like, he should just stick to The Boys. And it's like, oh, so someone does know that. Okay. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Because from some of these people, it's like, seems like you would like The Boys. Also seems like you would like Homeland.
You would really like Homelander.
Or Stormfront.
Yeah, maybe more so Stormfront, huh?
But it was eye-opening too. Just like, you know, I've clearly see people can have different opinions on things and really perceive same piece of media in a different way.
It's kind of fascinating, but also it can be really depressing if you go too deep into that rabbit hole.
Yeah. I mean, and that's why it's, you know, when I've seen this movie and I'm like, why did they even put this out? Like, who do they think is going to like this? It's like, oh, no, I get it.
Yep.
Or something that was really good that didn't succeed. I'm like, how did this not succeed? I'm like, oh, I didn't realize all these people hated this.
I think I
remember
really
some
like
people
what you
that
just
didn't like Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, and I was like, what didn't you like about it? I'm like, oh, the dialogue was trite and whatever. They had their opinions, and I didn't disagree. I wasn't like, you're wrong. I was just like, huh, that's how you took that.
That's
okay.
It's so strange.
I was like, did you
really
like
strange.
the first one? It's like, the first one was good, the second one was okay, and this one was terrible. It's like, all right, I mean, fair enough.
Sure. How about that? I definitely don't agree, but sure.
And that's
It's like
and clearly YouTube comments again, which I don't normally do. I've done more now in this past weekend than I've done my entire life.
You should not do that.
Was occasional a couple of them was like I wanted to actually have it like that one. That guy wasn't shitty.
Twitter's even more toxic.
But I did want to just like I was legit discuss. I wasn't like you're wrong. What did you think was bad about it? I was like no, what didn't? I was like okay, so you didn't like it. Like what didn't you like about it?
And just no real answer.
I mean, he did. He gave an answer, and I mean, if I was talking to this person, I could be like, well, I mean, I think it's this. Like what you and I are doing. Like I can't think of one right now, but like. Well, technically Mario, I guess.
Yeah,
like,
I'd say Mario.
You liked Mario, and it's like, I didn't. But I was also like, you're wrong. It's fucking dumb.
And also,
you were like, no, it's good. Because, like...
Spider-Verse is also a good one where I was slightly disappointed by it.
And I really loved it.
And you loved it.
And, you know, I think back to days when I was young, and I watched Siskel and Ebert. I more liked ones like, ooh, did they disagree on this one? Oh, this is going to be good.
Yeah. I watched a clip of some of their old stuff, and it's them just screaming at each other.
Those are, I mean, that was fun, but those are also more fun discussions, especially, you know, if you're literate of those things and or you're passionate about it and a discussion's being had. It's not just you're wrong, you're dumb, you're woke, go broke.
Yeah. Just like saying like the same buzzwords over and over again.
But actually, like, no. And that's, again, I think it's what angered me in the Mr. H reviews of these three old white dudes was also their review really wasn't a review. It was like, you're just bitching. And someone pointed out, like, oh, this is their job. Like, and I was like, I can't believe you all get paid to do this.
To
like,
complain about nonsense.
We're doing this for free. Y'all can, but you all can. I mean, you can send us money, I think, somewhere. I don't know.
That would help.
We don't have a Patreon.
No, not yet.
Just
liking and sharing on
sharing.
Yeah, on Spotify at Shallow Cinema and iTunes at Shallow Cinema. Follow us on X now at Shallow_cinema.
Are we blue check marked?
No. I'm not paying for that shit. You have to pay for that now.
Also, is there something called like Podcast Catcher? There's just like an app that can just like, you know what? If you're hearing us, wherever you're hearing us.
Well, I use a podcast service. I really go and hey, sponsor us. Spotify for podcasters used to be Anchor FM, please. That one allows me to put it on everything.
So yeah, sponsor us and like us and give us a thumbs up. We should have said that at the opening of the show.
Who cares?
You're
it's
at
the ending of the show.
Well, if you got this far, I mean, you really should give us a thumbs up. I mean,
yeah,
we've talked for, I don't know how he's going to edit this, but like we've talked for a very long time.
And you know what? I wouldn't have it any other way. I enjoy talking about this kind of stuff. But let's go ahead and get out of here.
So I am going to, again, reiterate,
absolutely go see Turtles.
Mutant Mayhem. If you have a family, for sure,
bring the kids out. We saw it in 3D. It was fun.
That was I didn't know you were going to go to 3D.
I didn't either. I forgot, actually.
But you don't need the 3D. I mean,
no,
you don't need the 3D. But.
And I also had the AMC Turtle Ooze Slushy. It was just green apple. It was good.
But it's called Ooze.
Anyway, next time, join us for the event of the century.
I was going to say Blue Barber and Hammer Beetle. Because I think Blue Beetle comes out this weekend.
Are you watching that?
I don't know. I mean,
I don't want to watch it.
I thought about it, and I was like, you know, it could be worth a discussion on a level of that movie was made for HBO Max, but Zaslav's like, it's going to theaters. And it kind of is like the start of James Gunn's DCU, even though it's not. But wouldn't it be fucking weird if, like, one, it does better than Flash? It's going to. I don't think it can't do better. But it's also going to release with no promotion because they can't go out and promote it.
Yeah.
And if it does better than Flash, I feel like it deserves just like, oh, we should talk about it then because like this is something.
Okay. You know what? I'll do this. I'll go see it, and I'll go see Talk to Me, so we can go ahead and get that out of the way too.
For as HBO Maxy as it looked, after seeing the Flash, aren't you also probably in agreement of like, I bet the special effects on this are better? Even from the trailer, the special effects on it were better.
So if we do an episode on this, I can talk about it more in depth, but I'll end it here. San Diego Comic-Con was recently, it happened recently.
First Comic-Con in probably 20 years that was actually about comics and toys.
Yeah.
Now no longer about movies and video games.
So they had the Blue Beetle costume there.
From the movie?
Yeah, because it's a real suit. And some TikTokers went and talked to the guy that's at the stand. And he was like, afterwards, he's like, thank you guys so much for like talking about this. No one cares. Like, I have to just stand here all day. I'm glad to say something to someone. It's like, we put a lot of effort into this suit and no one gives a shit.
I'm hopeful. You know what? Like, I hope it does okay enough.
It was just really funny to see this fucking.
Was it the guy from, I guess, the company that made the suit?
Must be. But
it's like, because otherwise, like, if he was from Warner Brothers, he definitely just lost his job.
Yeah, absolutely. But it was just really funny because, like, you see all this really cool shit and, like, some video games got announced and stuff, and then it's just a Blue Beetle in the middle of the floor that no one.
Hey, everybody.
No one's even taking a picture.
Blue Beetle.
Anyway, like, comment, subscribe, go down, get infected by ooze in the New York sewers.
Ooze. Just sounds better. Just ooze.
That's what they call it, I think.
Snooze in your ooze. Or, don't let Nick Fury get your ooze.
Fuck off.
All right. Glad to be back.
Hell yeah.
Cowabunga.
Shell yeah.